What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The college baseball season will come down to one final game. Texas A&M falling to Tennessee 4-1 in Game 2 of the College World Series final last night, which will result in a winner-take-all matchup tonight for the national championship. After Jace Lovey led solo homer in the first inning, the Aggies held a 1-0 lead for the majority of the game until a two-run shot by Dylan Dryland in the top of the seventh gave the Vols a 2-1 lead. Tennessee then launched another two-run home run by Cal Stark in the eighth, which ultimately gave Tennessee the 4-1 win. And the rivalry continues in the WNBA as Angel Reese scored a career-high 25 points and grabbed 16 rebounds to help the Chicago Sky take down Indiana 88-87, despite 17 points and a franchise record 13 assists for the Fever's Caitlin Clark on Sunday. Indiana had its 4-game win streak snapped. And if you don't have plans, this Wednesday, come out and hang out to Game Terminal for RKW. Plenty of food, drinks, and you get to play us in games. You can probably beat our high scores. It won't be that hard. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will as the dog days of summer begin here in Nashville, Tennessee, and in the Volunteer State. Oh, we still have a championship to talk about. The Tennessee Volunteers getting the job done. Yesterday, we have got a Game 3 in the 2024 College World Series. We've got lots of time to talk about it. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 615-737-1045. With Brad Hopkins in for Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh making the show happen from Omaha. My name is Will Bowling. Through the magic of technology, we are all together again this morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning.
What's going on? Oh, my mic? There we go.
There we go.
Now
Hey,
my mic's on. What's going on? Yeah, I am looking at you through Zoom, and so I can see you, and it looks like you've got a little sun.
So here's what happened. I made the mistake. Well, maybe not even a mistake. I made a business decision to get the fade haircut, to cut off the sides, everything like I always do every 2 or 3 weeks, without remembering that when I do that and go out in the sun,
yes,
there has to be some kind of coverage. Otherwise, my head will burn. Like literally the sides of my head will burn. So I wore a hat and made the decision that I'd rather have a hat burn and a sunglass burn than just a full-on head burn.
Hey, you know what? You were there, though, and whatever you sacrificed for your skin, it's all right. Because they got to win.
Oh, my gosh.
It's okay. I went out there and pulled weeds this weekend, and even I put on some sort of sunscreen.
Did you?
Yeah.
Smart guys. I'm proud of you.
And you know what I mean when I say that. Even I put on the sunscreen.
Well, yes. But that's something Ramon and I talk about all the time on the show. He gets in fights with his other friends because they say you don't need to wear sunblock. And Ramon's like, I need to wear sunblock no matter what.
I did get
Everybody
into some Virginia creep. What is that called? The Virginia creeper. What is that? Some kind of weed.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, like
Sounds awful.
not weed like recreation weed like
Sounds awful.
in your grass
The
weed.
way you said that, Brad.
The Virginia weed. That Virginia weed.
Just waking up.
It's not like the Virginia creeping band like Snoop Dogg was talking about. I don't know what the weed was that's in my mulch beds, but it was in there and
it needs to be removed.
Got some poison ivy on me.
Ooh.
Is that stuff actually contagious, like by contact?
You know
Because
what?
I was hugging everybody yesterday.
That's a great question. I think it might be at some length. Like if you have a certain amount on you. Yes.
Sorry, Mom.
Well, yesterday, it got to the point at this game where I was taking the College World Series cooling towels that we got that were outside in all the merch tents and everything like that and covering my legs with it. Like it was not even around my neck to cool me down there, because they have these like big grab and go like ice bucket cooler things where it's very smart the way that they do this. They have you get a wristband if you want to get alcohol when you enter the stadium. That way you don't have to ID yourself every single time. The process is way quicker, which they have got that 100% figured out the way it should be done. But they've got these big ice buckets, and you just stick your cooling towel in there. And then I literally was covering my legs as a blanket because I didn't want my legs to burn, because I'm convinced that is the worst place to get a sunburn.
No,
and the top of your feet is the worst place, actually.
What was you sipping on, Will?
Powerade yesterday. Before the game, some other beverages, but I made some business decisions during that game
smart.
yesterday.
It's probably very smart. Day drinking, in my case at least, now I'm different from other people, that is what zaps me, literally. So I need to just know in the future, too, from all the previous mistakes I've made, including 2 weekends ago, day drinking is not a thing.
So what is about the sun being down that allows you to go ham?
That's the problem, I think, because you get so like you don't drink enough water. You're in the sun. Yeah. Then you keep on being like, oh, one more drink. Okay. And then by the time you know it, it's like 4 o'clock and you're saying, need to go to bed because I'm obviously.
Well, there were some brave souls that were actually in the truck, because I was watching lots of people that didn't have hats on, barely had sunglasses, and they were just sitting there just roasting in the sun.
I mean, if you were not going hat yesterday, you were just fighting for your life.
Yeah.
And that is one area where, like, I was telling my family yesterday, like, I don't think I'll buy a cotton hat again. Like, the way these moisture wicking hats work now, it's the little things.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to be able to battle the elements. I tweeted it out. I've been to a lot of noon kickoffs and 3:30 kickoffs as a student at Tennessee in the heat, standing in the bleachers. And that was maybe the hottest I have ever been at a sporting event yesterday.
Was it like
no
90s?
Questions asked. It was about 93. There was no breeze.
Yeah.
Until the last out of the game
True.
needed to be recorded. There was very little breeze, thankfully for Tennessee fans. But I don't know what it was specific. I think it was just the sun over you with zero cloud cover. Like we were all just baking.
There's just something going on now, because I think from Cali to Florida, we're experiencing a heat wave. I was looking at the news yesterday, and they were showing like temperatures in the triple digits in Texas. Obviously, Omaha's way north of Texas, but still,
it must
we're all
be
getting heat.
It must be everywhere except for where I'm from, because my mom called me and she's like, "It's still not even close to being summer here." I'm like, "What the heck's going on up there?"
From a buddy at a lake house in Wisconsin. He's like, "Oh, it's in the mid 50s here."
Oh,
it must be nice.
I
buddy.
know,
Thank
right?
you.
I'm like, what the heck? It's crazy.
I know. It's supposed to be warmer today in Omaha. I'm
Ooh-wee.
looking out at downtown. I can barely see the stadium lights from my window over here. Got a good setup, and we've got a good show coming up for the people. If you're a Vols fan, if you're a Vols hater, you have come to the right place to get ready for College World Series Game 3 tonight. ESPN's Kyle Peterson, who has been on the call in Omaha, was on the call yesterday with Carl Ravitch and Chris Burke. He will join us at 8:20 this morning. And Joshua Dobbs, who I feel like is just the official ambassador of all things University of Tennessee. He is giving us a couple of minutes at 9 o'clock. And we've got a You're Not That Guy coming up at 7:20. There is a ton to get to, guys. And I started the show with this, but we are very blessed from the Sports Talk Radio gods, because it is Monday, June the 24th. And every other market in the country except Texas and here has just this little, like, nothing to talk about. Like, genuinely, there's the sports calendar has ended. Not in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, no, that is the beauty of sometimes just hitting luck. Like, sometimes you just have a year where teams are either really good and they're winning, and so you continuously can talk about things, or you have crazy things happen, like the Titans, and you have coaching changes, and you can drag that out throughout, the next 4 months or so. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a combination of both here in Tennessee this year, with the Titans giving us extra content, and now the Vols are actually winning, so they're giving us extra content. You gotta love it.
What'd you say, Bert? Somebody is on line 1 from Edmonton, wants to talk to Will? I mean, there is a Game 7 going on tonight.
There is a Game 7 going on tonight.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
It could be historic in the way that Florida doesn't want it to be.
Yep.
Because Florida
Good point.
has looked like it's almost, bit the dust. Now, we have to see tonight. They're back in Sunrise. But my goodness, Edmonton decided to turn it on. Connor McDavid decided to show up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, let me ask you something, Will. What would you have done had the Vols been checked out of the series yesterday in Game 2? Because you're still in, obviously, Omaha. Would you have come back today?
I would have come back this afternoon, yes. So I would still be sitting right here doing this show this way. I think we had a contingency flight that has since been canceled, praise God. But yes, would have been an early flight back today.
So you need to send Dylan Dreiling a thank you card.
Right?
I mean,
Dear
did my man's bat save the series, I think?
Yeah. Which is no surprise. They've been doing this type of stuff the entire season with guys stepping up when they need to, right? And just
Saturday and Sunday.
One knock of the bat can change a game for the Vols like that.
He had 4 of the 9 runs that they scored over the weekend.
Yep. 11
Impressive.
of 22 at the plate. 2 home runs, 3 walks, 8 runs batted in Omaha for Dylan Dreiling.
So that's a performance. Yeah, that's a performance right there.
We're going to dive into that coming up next. 615-737-1045. It is a day if you are a Vols fan, and again, a Vols hater. You can call in with us and give your take tonight on exactly how Game 3 of the College World Series goes. 2 teams that I'm telling you, after watching them interact yesterday, their fan bases in Omaha, I don't think the world is ready for Tennessee or Texas A&M to win a national championship. Someone is going to tonight. We take your calls all morning at 615-737-1045. We'll dive into what stood out the most from yesterday's Tennessee win. Coming up, Hour 1, Brad Hopkins, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling here on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster here for Wesley Mortgage, man. Listen, if you've ever ran to the owner of Wesley Mortgage, Chuck McDowell, you'll know this just speaking to him. One, he's just a dude, okay? I'm going to throw that out there. But he's also just a local Nashville native, man. He cares about this community and is always proud to serve it. If you've ever been inside a Nissan Stadium, you know this. Chuck reinvests in the people in the places that make Nashville such a wonderful place, all right? While other mortgage companies are downsizing, Chuck McDowell and the Wesley Mortgage team, they are rapidly expanding in Nashville, keeping people working in the career that they love, and they would love to have you join their team. Chuck and his leadership team at Wesley Mortgage have a support system in place to help you succeed in the mortgage business, ensuring your loans close on time, making sure you get paid, and giving you back the time to build your business and bring back the fun to the mortgage profession. With unique networking opportunities with the Tennessee Titans and the Music City Grand Prix, they make closing deals and building relationships fun again. So if you're in the mortgage industry and you're tired of the grind, tired of the pressure, and just tired of micromanaging everything to make sure your clients get handled, then you owe it to yourself to go to whywesley.com.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, our number one. Brad Hopkins, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you, 615-737-1045. You can stream the show live on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Push, please.
And join the conversation there in the F&M Bank chat. And you can see my wonderful hat sunburn.
Wait, I've got to
If that's something that interests you.
Nice.
I need to
Yeah,
send
there
you
it
guys
is.
a picture of the setup I have here. I'm kind of loving this. I'm not going to lie to you.
You
I
have
love
like
both
the
of you.
foggy background.
Yeah.
The blurred
do.
background. You don't
Yeah.
want us to see behind them.
Well,
it messy,
it's
Will?
just a
Is that
hotel
why?
room.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean,
We want to see the decorum.
Yeah, I may be able to tilt over to the background of the city of Omaha behind me.
Ooh.
At some point. I'll be like all those guys on Around the Horn
Yeah,
on ESPN that just have the random cityscapes behind them.
exactly.
Might work out. Tennessee gets the job done yesterday, 4-1. Jace Laviolette's first inning home run, the only run for the Aggies. And Tennessee was struggling with runners on until Dylan Dreiling's late home run gave them their first lead. Cal Stark, another home run, giving the Vols a 4-1 victory. Guys, what stood out yesterday?
Wow. First of all, what a game in terms of anticipation. And I know that baseball is not everybody's cup of tea because in this day and age, we like the fast pace, the, action happening every single second. I'm a little bit different, so maybe I enjoyed this more because I like to break down things. I like to anticipate. I like to kind of let the moments play out. And that's what this ball game did, because I think the whole time since that first run that Texas A&M got on the board with Jace Laviolette, by the way, who hasn't been great like most recently in the last couple of games because of that hamstring injury. He hasn't been great at the plate. Like, it was almost incredible to see him hit that home run, because I think the announcers were just kind of explaining how he's had a little bit of a drought in the last couple of games or so in this Omaha series. So it was interesting to see him do that. And then you were just waiting for Tennessee to have that moment, because we've seen it so many times this season that in one swing of the bat, Tennessee can change a ball game. And this was a ball game that was very close. I mean, it was 1-0. So you were, I think, having the hope that Tennessee would be able to do that. And sure enough, their pitching specifically allowed then a couple of these guys to get in their groove late in this game. And boom, here we go. And the game changed within a minute. But you have to look at the pitching in this game. And another great outing by Drew Beam. And obviously, you got some help there with the other guys that came in. Nate Snead in particular, who closed it out. I think that was the difference in this one.
I'm looking at a 5-run third inning. I'm looking at a comebacker that went off of A.J. Causey's foot that also obviously got the hit train rolling of sorts. The 3 errors, this is on Saturday, that then set the stage for when that first run scored. I thought, oh my God, here we go again. And I'm not one of those, like we were talking about, the battered Vols syndrome, because I just really haven't followed baseball in Knoxville as long as most, right? But what I did see was them commit those uncharacteristic errors that then allowed the doors to open for A&M. And this is the number 3 team in the country. You cannot have any mistakes against them, right? 100%. And also the disappearance of the big bats. They've grown to rely on Simo's bat with the wonderful year that he's had. They've grown to rely on Blake Burke's bat. He wasn't even in the lineup yesterday, or wasn't in the box yesterday. There were so many things offensively that they missed, and the mistakes that they made on defense that just kind of made this more of a series. But this is, just like both coaches talked about, whether it was Schlossnagle or Vitello, they get the opportunity to play again tonight. I think that A&M wants that one back yesterday.
Sure.
UT wants the one back from Saturday. Mm-hmm. So now tonight at 6 o'clock, they've got a chance to set the stage basically for either one of these teams to do something that neither one of them have been able to do in 14 tries in Omaha collectively. Yeah. 8 for A&M, 6 for the Vols. So, it was, we'll see what happens tonight. The most focused team is going to win.
I thought it would also do a disservice for college baseball fans and just people who are tuning in for the first time maybe to a College World Series to not have a Game 3. Yeah. As good as these two teams are, as great as these two teams teams' fan bases are and what they've made of this series in particular in Omaha. And I do think it brings new eyes to the table with, these two types of teams. I think it would have been a bummer to not see a Game 3, and luckily we're able to see that tonight.
Anytime a team can stop a team that's been averaging 9.9 points a game, you're doing something defensively. Now, I just said that some of that was their own doing, right? You have those mistakes that we haven't normally seen them make. That's going to open the door for those opportunities. But I also saw on Sunday a team that just put all that stuff in the rear view, that kept its composure, which is what a veteran team would do, a mature team would do, and just being patient within themselves to get back in the ball game. Dylan Dryling's bat did it again. 2-run jack gets the thing going. They end up taking the lead for the first time. As a matter of fact, putting A&M in the trailing spot for the first time
in this series. Yeah, in the tournament. You're right.
So, hey, man, I mean, this is a team right now that is really looking, I guess, at what's the most important thing, which is what? Playing well and getting off to a fast start tonight.
Absolutely.
Brad, it's interesting the psychology of this, but from someone's perspective, obviously as yours, who's played in a Super Bowl, that is one day, one game. Obviously, there's a lot of buildup to it, right? There's the 2 weeks now, the way it goes, and it is a circus that leads up to the Super Bowl. But having this event happen over 3 days, Tony Vitello talked about it last night and said, I'm going to put 2 AirPods in and change my sleep routine tonight because there was not much sleep last night. Did you feel just looking at the guys, and Tennessee was 0 of 17 with runners on base in this game until Dylan Dryling's home run, how much does that psychology of a championship affect you? Because I'm always curious of that balance because in my head, from the very unathletic perspective, you can't forget that you're playing for a championship. You want it to motivate you that extra bit, but at the same time, it needs to be business as usual. Where is that balance?
Do you remember back in 1999 when we first went to the Super Bowl, Will? And we had that remarkable season?
Right.
I was waiting for him to say he wasn't born, but
no, I was born. I'm not going to say how old I was, but I was 100% on the earth.
2, 3. But
for a couple minutes, I'd been.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is within that period of time, we went to a few conference championship games. Those conference championship games became easier to us the more we went to them. So comparatively speaking, from that first time, when the anxiety, when the uncertainty, when we were like, oh my God, we just looked up and realized that we were there on that stage, it can be overwhelming. But then again, when you start going back, when you have players that play at that level, that caliber of expectation, now it's like old hat. This is where we expect to be. So I think that go back to that Florida State the Florida State game when they could have got bounced out of the SEC tournament, right? And they were down by I don't know how many runs, and all of a sudden they had to put it together and come back late. It's that kind of challenge that then makes everything else easier for you once you've experienced it, So those setbacks can then sometimes turn into fuel. Those disappointments can sometimes turn into focus. But a lot of that is the confidence built because you've been at that stage and you continue to want to strive to get to that stage. And that's what Tony V has these kids thinking. I mean, how many times have they been in Omaha in the past 4 seasons, or been in the tournament led by Tony Vitello? Because that's
the last 4.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the culture he's creating to where these kids are now thinking, hey, you know what? What are we going to do this year when the playoffs come around? Not like, oh, I hope we get to the playoffs. No. They expect to get there. Mm-hmm. And with that mindset, it makes it easier to deal with those things.
What I do find interesting, though, in series like this, where it's a 3-game series to win it all. And in baseball, it's a much longer game in terms of piece by piece, bit by bit. Like, I feel like there's so much anticipation in baseball, and there's momentum changes that happen kind of sometimes even out of the blue, where you see a team that looks like it's going to have enough to win the game, and then all of a sudden, one swing of the bat, it's completely different, right?
Yeah.
And I think that in this series alone, it's got to be difficult for some of these players to reset and then be like, okay, we're on to the next one, and this is our focus, and it's got to completely change. Because you saw it with Tennessee yesterday to start the game. This was after they lost game 1, and you're thinking, okay, Tennessee's going to come out. Maybe they'll get those bats swinging early. This was Texas A&M's lineup in terms of their pitching that they were a little bit unsure about. It was more piecing together their their starter or their pitching yesterday. They did get a little lucky because they got some really good performances out of a couple of the guys. But Schlossnagle even said, this is my lineup where, anything can happen. And I was thinking maybe the Vols could take advantage a little bit early, but we saw a little bit of nervousness. We saw those errors happen early. It looked like they were a little unsure of themselves, and they've experienced success, but it doesn't matter. In a 3-game series, when the spotlight's on you, every game is so crucial, and it is so hard sometimes to completely reset. That's why I think tonight's going to be fascinating, and that's why I think you're right, Brad. You have to come out of the gate and you've got to be somewhat on. And those mistakes can't necessarily happen as often because this is the last one.
Kind of comparing apples and oranges, Kayla. And the reason why I say that is because in baseball, you get to go back out the next day if you lose the first one, right? In football, that's it.
Right.
There's a level of desperation because you got 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. And guess what? It moves on. I heard the comparisons listening to Fox Sports Radio coming in this morning between what's a better word, Super Bowl or Game 7. I mean, sure, it's debatable.
Right.
But I think when you look at the short lifespan of an NFL championship, in other words, when you're playing in a Super Bowl, it's just that one afternoon. But the one thing that I was looking at when they got blanked on Saturday, I'm talking about the Vols.
Yes.
I said, thank God there's tomorrow.
Right.
Well, guess what? If this was football, that would be it.
And this time it is it because there is no tomorrow in Game 3.
That's a lot of emotions. That's a lot of emotions for 3 games that you have to go through.
Yeah, but like both coaches said though, they both had opportunities.
Right.
Obviously they played well in instances, but it now comes down to this third game, the best of 3, and it couldn't be a better situation, right? A boat racing the Aggies put on the Vols on Saturday, a comeback win of not dramatic fashion, but convincing fashion on Sunday to set up tonight's action for a College World Series, one of which neither team has ever won.
Yeah, it's pretty dramatic.
Ugh. It's insane. I think the thing tonight that'll be interesting, and we got a question on Twitter at Ramon Kayla Will, where you can interact with the show. Or Chris says, who has the pitching advantage tonight? I would give a slight edge to Tennessee, but I think it's close.
I think it's pretty even.
Justin Lampkin, the lefty for Texas A&M, has thrown 112 pitches for A&M in Omaha. He has thrown 8 scoreless innings. That was in 2 games against Florida. 15 total strikeouts in those outings as well. Has an ERA a bit over 5 this season. He is a sophomore who was solid as a freshman for Texas A&M last season, and he is on 5 days rest after a 70-pitch outing. So he's thrown over 90 pitches just once this season. He has not thrown over 80 pitches in a game since April. So I think that is where, obviously, a winner-take-all Game 3, the arithmetic changes a little bit where you're going to have a really quick hook for a lot of these pitchers tonight. But I think where Tennessee really feels good is Xander Sechrist is their guy, and Xander Sechrist has pushed them over the top in moments like this throughout the postseason. So in his last start, Xander Sechrist is 29.1 innings pitched, 29 and a third, 1.23 ERA. Tennessee is 5-0 in those games, including winning the SEC regular season championship and winning the Knoxville Super Regional against Evansville. This is their best pitcher right now, guys, to finish the season. Xander Sechrist on the mound tonight.
Gee, I remember what Chris Cortez was doing against us Saturday, man. I mean, the dude was, how many pitches did he throw over 100 miles an hour?
I think over 100. Like it felt like 50 to 60. He was throwing 101.
Yeah, and it
with
barely
his, like,
dipped.
89th pitch
That's
of
what
the
I
game.
was saying. It barely dipped. Yeah. It was like, I was like, what is this?
This dude here is a maniac.
He pitching with some moment or adrenaline or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, Xander Sechrist has been fabulous for the Vols in terms of that third day starter. He's been the most consistent as of recently, obviously. And so you do hope you can get a lot out of him, because I think that is what is fascinating about this Game 3. I think both teams feel really confident in their starting pitchers. And, you know, how you can maybe take advantage of either or, I don't know. I mean, that's up to Tennessee to try to take advantage of Texas A&M's starting pitcher. Will you mention his name again?
Justin Lampkin.
Lampkin, that's right. And I think this is an opportunity for guys like Chris Moore, guys like Kavares Tiras to step up literally to the plate, and they are the names of this team. And I think this is the time for your stars to shine in this game 3. But then you look at also Tennessee, if Seacrest, goes out at a certain point, which he will, Kirby Connell has been so solid, and I think you can really count on him for anything left in terms of the stretch of that game. So
it's crazy. We need the bats to step up. Billy Amick needs to step up. Blake Burke needs to step up. Simo, we need to have the Simo type performances that we're normally seeing from him. He needs to step up. So as important as pitching is, defense, of course, you need to have some ability to put bat on the ball,
get those
basically,
bats
and get those
going.
things in rotation. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, Billy Amick 5 for 21.
Man.
In Omaha so far. And
no, sir.
He's got a double, and he has got a couple of big moments that he has had. He's got an RBI so far in the College World Series, but one extra base hit and one RBI for Billy Amick, who was without a home run. I think this is a Billy Amick bounce-back performance tonight. I think he is a guy that is due for a big game, and look, the pedigree that he had coming from Clemson and being the grad transfer and the guy that was kind of the missing piece to this Tennessee offense. This is why you transfer to Tennessee at this point of your college career, and he has got to step up tonight.
Yeah, and look, you looked yesterday at situations. It's not like Tennessee couldn't do anything. Like, they have guys on base. It was not being able to take advantage of guys on base. And so you can't strand your guys in this game. You've got to get some production in terms of at least getting one across the plate. If you can't have these guys stranded. I think that is just a huge thing.
Yeah. In the first 2 games, Tennessee's 2 for 20 with runners in scoring position until Dylan Dreiling's home run.
Right.
Stranded 10 yesterday.
Yep.
10 runners.
Yeah, I can't do it in game 3.
You need those points.
It feels like Tennessee was like doing their best to lose yesterday. Like, genuinely, they did so many things that you cannot do to win baseball games.
Yeah.
And then they won the baseball game.
Yeah.
I like the little storylines, like the relationship that Schlossnagel and Vitello having spent time together at TCU. So I think it's pretty cool that they have an understanding about each other. That there's a competition between the two because there's familiarity, not only in coaching styles, but in personalities, because they are familiar with one another,
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine there's a healthy amount of respect that these coaching staffs have for each other, especially the fact that they've actually done it together. And then having as talented a roster as both of these teams have, two top 5 teams playing each other in College World Series. I hope that this is something that is able to be accomplished for the first time since 1999, where a number 1 seed actually wins the dang thing.
Yeah. I get sick of those, like, theories in terms of, or superstitions or whatever you want to call them. At some point, I like to see those things get blown up. So you're right. It would be interesting to see if that could get blown up today. 1999, I believe it was Miami who was the first number 1 seed to win it all.
615-737-1045 is our number. Our question of the day on Twitter at Ramon Kayla Will is simple. Take your pick, Tennessee or Aggies tonight. Coming up next, I'm going to have to tell Robert Walsh about something he hates that I kind of enjoyed yesterday.
Ooh.
Walking around Omaha. We're talking Jell-O shots when we come back right here on Ramon Kayla. So in Knoxville, there's a thing we say, I will give my all for Tennessee today. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, finishing up hour number 1. Brad Hopkins, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. I and many others at a place called Rocco's. We're giving our all for Tennessee yesterday. I am excited to share, ladies and gentlemen, that the Jell-O shots are real, and they're not bad.
You're
They're
the
not
one
bad.
that hated on them, and I was like, I love Jell-O shots. Didn't you say you didn't like them?
Legitimately just tastes like Jell-O. Like
I know.
you could probably have 10 of these and be totally unmoved.
That's why I love
How many
it.
did you have?
I had 2.
And you were good?
I had 2 completely.
That is the problem, and that is where my hatred
exactly.
lies.
I can see that.
It's
Bert.
because if you're gonna have me put
Yes.
this flibbity flobbity ass shot in my mouth, then it better taste like liquor.
something.
Right.
It better taste like liquor. They're out here making a fortune, a killing, selling
They are.
everybody plastic bottle vodka, some Vladimirs, and it ain't even a full shot. It's a half a shot of Vlad's in there. Give me a full thing. Give me a floating Jell-O shot because there's so much liquor in the cup
floating Jell-O
that the Jell-O's floating. I'm tired of this sham, this buffoonery.
Bert wants to smell that shot.
It is kind of a lot. I mean, $5, that is a lot for a Jell-O. I could pay $2.
It is.
I'm about to say, how much is a Jell-O shot? I don't even know.
$5
yeah,
for
$5.
Rocco's?
Well, but Will said it was potent.
No, he
No,
said
it was not
wasn't.
potent.
Oh, it
was
wasn't
not potent at all.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
I
just
thought
like,
you said you were good. Like you were like, oh, I'm feeling it.
it's like you just
No, I
made
was
Jell-O
good,
at
like I
home
said-
and cut it up.
I literally could have had 5 and would not have felt a thing.
So
Oh
it's
my
the
gosh.
experience. It's the pride of
Yeah.
like making Tennessee, still lead this competition because they are by like what,
No,
1,000? Oh, they're
not.
They're losing?
Tennessee's not
They
leading.
are
so
losing.
as of the last update, A&M was up by a couple hundred.
Oh,
However,
stop.
boy.
You said a couple
I don't know
hundred.
if you saw Twitter last night.
I'm seeing it right now.
So, but there's an updated edition of the College World Series shot board that I've tagged at Ramon Kayla Will. So Grant Furking
Yep.
is a former Tennessee wide receiver who now works for On3, our very good friends there. And he tweeted out a picture. I'm going to retweet this right now at Ramon Kayla Will, and you can see for yourself. And he said, Maxim 3. This is great. If at first the game or the breaks go against you, don't let up. Put on more steam. And says, we are all in for the Big Orange, tagging Valus Jones, Cedric Tillman, and Hendon Hooker. And there is
Yep.
a picture of maybe, we're looking at 200 Jell-O shots maybe, all orange here maybe in this picture.
Wow.
Man.
So I don't know if the official update has been given from Rocco's. It is cool though. The atmosphere here is great, and Texas A&M fans are nice.
Sure.
Like they really are. I've talked before about my story of going to see Tennessee Notre Dame when I was a kid. Everyone was nice, and I kind of wanted them to be mean to me. Like I want to talk back and forth a little bit. Like I don't understand this. Like, oh, good luck to you tomorrow. I hope you have fun. Like no, be mean to me. Like it's an interesting dynamic here.
That's I think interesting fan base too, because we've talked about you talk about A&M, and there's clearly players that have come out of A&M that stick out to you, right? Johnny Manziel in particular, like the fiery personalities and all of the traditions that come along with Texas and A&M. But it is interesting when you brought up they have not won a men's championship. Was that ever or since the
30s?
The 30s or something, 1930s.
I think it was 1939.
Yeah, which that to me is crazy. And you could see there's a lot of passion behind these fans. Like they clearly want a championship. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be these rude people, right? That's one thing in the South that always amazes me. As passionate as some of these fan bases are, and I know not all of them are all nice, but a majority of them, I will say my experience, they're pretty nice people. Pretty nice fan bases.
That has not been my experience going to all the SEC road games I have been at. But
One thing that stood out to me, fellas,
Yeah.
is the fact that, so Schlossnagle spent 18 years at TCU, right?
Mm-hmm.
right,
And then as of recently, 3 years or so, has transferred over to the A&M program that he has now taken to a championship. And this is a tenured coach, okay? He's an old dude that has to somehow reinvent himself to learn how to communicate with every clubhouse that he ends up coaching. So the fact that he can transition from a program that he spent almost 2 decades at and then have not necessarily immediate success, but recent success with his new stop in College Station. Give the man some credit for being able to reinvent himself at a different school.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Especially in this league, in the SEC, where a lot of these programs have been established in terms of their baseball programs, or as of the last 5 years, really built themselves up like Tennessee has. There's a lot of tradition in the SEC when it comes to baseball specifically. Football, we know that. Baseball, I think it sometimes falls beside the wayside sometimes with the tradition that is baseball in the SEC and in the South. And so that's a great point you made. For him to be able to do that in that quick of a way, it is impressive.
Brad, what was the craziest road environment you ever played in? Like the craziest fans that were ever just insane to you?
Two fan
Titans?
bases. Well,
Are you talking about Titans?
No, Titans actually kind of subdued.
Well,
No, I'm talking about when you
I mean,
were a Titan.
as a road player,
Yeah,
college or NFL.
Definitely going to Oakland. The Raiders
Yeah.
fans up there are ridiculous. Matter of fact, they beat us in a playoff game and set a McDonald's on fire to celebrate. I'm not even kidding you.
What?
They turned over cars because they were happy about the win. I was like, what would they have done if we'd have won? We didn't need an escort back to the airport. And another fan base, the Bills. You know what the Bills used to do? They'd take D batteries and put them in snowballs. Now, if you stand on the sideline without your helmet on, you're going to catch one.
Yep.
A nice high heater on top of the dome. And Steelers fans, they're also kind of crazy. Those terrible towels are for real. And they do create a raucous environment. But as far as put it this way. Oakland was the only stadium that we went to on the road where there had to be a police presence surrounding the family section for the opposing team. And they had to be there all game.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, Caleb.
Yeah.
So, well, they don't play games in Oakland anymore, but either way,
No, they
the
don't.
Raiders fan base is still ravenous.
They are crazy. That is for sure. I remember hearing a story one time. Corey Curtis, my former sports director at News 2, said when they went there, my photog, Cal, and him went to Oakland, just sitting or standing there on the sideline and just the amount of craziness that, at times they felt like, oh my God, are we safe?
Yeah.
Of course they were, but it just, that's the feeling you got when you went to Oakland. Everything that came along with it, the stadium that's a little run down. Clearly now, I mean, we've heard the stories with Will talk about the stadium. Who knows what that will be in the future. But yeah, everything about the environment just made you uncomfortable.
Real quick, there is a correlation, Will. Whatever city has the best Jell-O shots.
I will say, so I've had the privilege to go to 10 different SEC road environments as a Tennessee fan. The craziest thing that has happened to me is I had beer thrown on me when I was in middle school by a Kentucky fan.
You did not. You're a kid?
As somebody from the upper deck, just a cannon. Kentucky could have used him at quarterback because that was one of the mini games where they just went Wildcat package like half the game. I think that was still Randall Cobb at that point. That was a Lane Kiffin coached Tennessee team on a Montario Hardesty touchdown run on their first play from scrimmage in overtime that ended that game. But I've said it recently on the show. The worst experience I've had as a road fan was in Gainesville this past fall because I was in the stretch of 5 rows of Tennessee fans that are between the Tennessee bench and the Florida students.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do not recommend that.
That is a place that I did not like to go. That is an environment.
Yes.
When I went to Florida for it was like my first road trip here when I moved to Tennessee to cover Florida and Tennessee. I was like, I got the EBGBs. First of all, I think Gainesville is nasty. Why do you want to go to school there? Second of all, the fans, I felt unsafe and just icky. So can I go on? So yeah, I agree with you about Florida. I've never been a Florida lover. I could go on, but then I'd start picking out names, so I don't want to do that.
615-737-1045 is our number. The second hour of the show is coming up next. We've got your Not That Guy coming up at 7:20, and Tony Vitello had one of his best quotes of the week yesterday that we'll play for you coming up next.
What's going on, you bunch of hooligans? 702, good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The college baseball season comes down to one final game. Texas A&M fell to Tennessee yesterday 4-1 in Game 2 of the College World Series final, which results in a winner-take-all matchup on tonight for the national championship. After Jace Laviolette's solo home run in the first inning, the Aggies held to a 1-0 lead for the majority of the game until a 2-run shot by Dylan Dreiling in the top of the 7th gave the Vols a 2-1 lead. Tennessee then launched another 2-run homer by Cal Stark in the 8th, which ultimately gave Tennessee the 4-1 win. Vol Network, you can listen to it right here on 104.5 The Zone. Airtime starts at 5:45. First pitch is at 6 o'clock. And the rivalry continues in the WNBA as Angel Reese scored a career-high 25 points, grabbing 16 rebounds to help the Chicago Sky beat Indiana 88-87, despite 17 points and a franchise record 13 assists from the Fever's Caitlin Clark on Sunday. The Fever have won the previous 2 matchups, both in Indianapolis, between the 2 teams this season. And this Wednesday, June 26th, make sure you got plans to hang out with us at Game Terminal for RKW. Plenty of food, drinks, games, anything you could think of. Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Mario Kart, plenty of games to play. We'll hope to see you there. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues right here on 104.5 The Zone, RKW. Brad Hopkins, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh making the show happen from Omaha. My name is Will Bowling. 615-737-1045 is how you join us. And coming up in 15 minutes, it is your chance to take anything or anyone from your week and complain about it. You're not that guy coming up in just a few minutes. Brad Hopkins, I believe this will be your first. You're not that guy with us.
And I got a good one too, Will.
He did
I've done
didn't
one.
he?
Yeah, I've done one before.
It was last week when, I think, Will, you were out when we did it on Monday
Outstanding.
Yeah.
or Tuesday.
Okay. I got a good one too, Will. Can't wait to give it to you.
All right. I love it. Before we get to something Tony Vitello said yesterday that I think people will enjoy, we got to remind you that we got RKW coming up Wednesday night. Robert Walsh just reminded the people in his update. The Zone is broadcasting live 1 to 6 from Game Terminal. This place is amazing. I got a chance to look at it about a week ago. Free to attend, and you're going to be able to challenge us to games like Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam. There's a Fast and Furious like racing simulator kind of situation going on here that Joe Hunk, I know, has said on his Twitter, like he's going to be schooling everyone in. I will be running Mario Kart and NFL Blitz. Those will be the 2 things that I will be just destroying everyone in. And you should come out and make plans for a Wednesday night out with us. It's going to be a really fun time.
Where's the Galaga? They got the Galaga?
They've got literally everything.
What is that?
Are you serious right now? Did you just say
serious.
what is Galaga?
Yeah.
Educate people, Brad Hopkins.
Oh my gosh, it's like one of the best arcade games where
I
you just
don't know
basically
that
shooting
one.
the aliens as they come down out of the top of the screen. You got to slide. You just move side to side.
I'm
and you got to shoot them.
visualizing it. I don't know if I've known the name of
The
that.
simple games. This ain't no Call of Duty and all that other craziness.
give me Duck Hunt and we're good to go.
Call of Duty.
Duck Hunt. Oh
Duck
yeah,
Hunt is one of my favorites.
Oh, I like that too.
Especially
The
during
dog.
the late great Pac-12 seasons when we'd play the Ducks and win them, and I'd get to use the Duck Hunt. Yes.
Well, did she just say the late great Pac-12?
Yes, I did. R.I.P. You idiots.
Rest in peace.
You stupid idiots.
All right.
Anyways, moving on.
So Tony Vitello yesterday asked about living with decisions you make mid-game. And Tony Vitello has this ability to change any question you ask him and just talk about whatever he really wants to talk about. I thought this was insightful and kind of funny from Tony Vitello and exemplifies just how much I think he identifies with this Tennessee fan base. Listen to this.
I could explain the numbers and all that stuff, but the bottom line is you have to make tough decisions over the course of a game. And, fans can tweet about them and say this or that. But the one thing, with all due respect, we wouldn't be here without our fans, is they get to do that on Twitter and voice their opinion. And then they get to go to the bars, because I can hear. It goes all night long. I can hear from my level. And I wish I could do that, to be honest with you, too. But I grew up in this damn household with crazy Greg Vitello. And kind of got into this deal right here. And with your decisions, you have to live with it. And when the game's over, we go back to the hotel. And I've worked with the guy across the dugout too. No one's more invested than him. And we live with it. And you think about it, and then you start preparing for the next day. It's all you do. So trust me, it means a lot to us. You know what I mean?
Crazy Greg Vitello. Guys, to me, Tony Vitello is a very interesting mix of old-fashioned and, I guess, new-fashioned and modern, because you can tell he was raised by an old-fashioned ball coach and his dad, who was a longtime high school baseball coach in St. Louis, yet he still, though, is one of the guys in the way he coaches his team.
That's what you have to be nowadays. I think you have to have a little bit of old school in you, no doubt about it. I thank my grandpa every day for instilling some of that. Hard work ethic, grind it out, that type of mentality. It feels like that's what Tony gets from his father in terms of how he did business growing up, how he was a coach, and still those old school parts to him. But then he realizes this is 2024. Like, things are different in the way we recruit and the kids that we have. Things are different. That's what life does, right? It's ever evolving. And so you have to relate to these kids. And Drew Beaton came on our show 2 weeks ago, and he pretty much said, we forget sometimes that Tony Vitello is not one of us. And if you look at him in the huddle, my goodness, yesterday I'm thinking, God, he looks like he could be the age of half these guys. I mean, he's relatable in both ways. I think he brings that kind of what you need in a coach, the balance, to the table.
His look personifies exactly who he is as a person.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is just what you talked about.
Yep.
He's got that cheddar flowing out from underneath the back of the hat, that curly dark hair, right? But in the front, he's got that beard that says, respect me.
Yep.
Respect me, because I'm your elder and I'm your coach. But the way he be running in and out of that dugout, the way he be getting on blue behind the plate when he's messing up, you see that guy, he coaches with some intensity.
Right.
But his look itself, I mean, that stuff's way below his neck, right?
Yeah.
So he looks like he could be a dude in today's game. But like I said, that full beard in the front, he is obviously distinguished between he and his players, but he does have that mentality, right? And he does have that fire, dapping up everybody, going through the line whenever they're changing innings, that kind of stuff. He plays it almost like a player does.
Yeah.
But his look does personify who he is.
And don't let him fool you. Like, when the season's over, Tony Vitello and that orange Lamborghini, like, they're getting around town. Like, they're going to have some fun, right? They're going to go have a couple drinks at the bar. Like,
That's what he said. He said, I hear him at the bar. How does he hear him at the bar if he ain't there?
Exactly. So he takes care of business when it needs to be taken care of, but I'm sure Tony Vitello has plenty of fun when the season is over.
He's a world traveler, too.
The thing about him, though, is, and he talked about this on 3HL a few weeks ago, I think Tony Vitello is the old school, everything that he does off the field is recruiting. Like, the guy is known, and Jim Schlossnagle, the Texas A&M coach, talked about it this week, that he got to where he is now because he was the most intense and relentless recruiter in all of college baseball. And he said on 3HL, like, there's about a month where I can travel the world and do what I want to do, because in baseball, you don't really have much time in the calendar to take off. I mean, I think if Tennessee wins a national championship, the guy's going to be at an AAU baseball tournament next week somewhere in, Southern Florida or California, watching, class of 2027 lefties. Like, I just think that the guy is relentless. The question I have for you guys is, do you have faith in him tonight to keep the emotions in check? And he's throwing dirt at the home plate umpire like 3 pitches into that game yesterday. Do you worry at all that Tony Vitello in a winner-take-all Game 3 could lose the cool just a little bit tonight?
I think he kind of has to, though, doesn't he? I think it seems like his guys respond to him losing his cool a little bit.
Fair enough.
It can't be over the top, right?
No, I'm not talking about getting thrown out the game.
Thing. I haven't seen anything from Tony Vitello this year, really, in general, that has been like to the point of, oh my gosh, it's Tony Vitello in that 2022 season, where there were some things where I felt like he needed to keep his cool a little bit.
Saturday when he was complaining about that strike zone, and rightfully so. There were some strikes that didn't get called, and he was upset about it and was visibly showing that to Blue. I get it.
And I'm okay with that. As long as he's not doing anything to get himself ejected from the game, like, I'm cool.
That's why he kept it moving, Kayla.
Exactly.
He yelled at Blue a lot from facing the other direction as he's pacing throughout the dugout because he didn't want him to hear exactly what he was saying. But let me ask you this real quick before we go to break. Will, who do you think could get you to play for their respective programs sooner? Rick Barnes, Josh Heupel, or Tony Vitello?
That's a good question.
If they win a championship, Tony Vitello.
I think for a lot of high school kids, Tony Vitello is the kind of coach that resonates the most.
You think so?
And I think he is the kind of coach that is where college sports are heading. I mean, he's one of the guys. He's in the group text. Like he's just
relatable. Yeah. Totally relatable.
But I do think that is where Tennessee does have some similarities, and that's maybe the one area where Josh Heupel and Tony Vitello and Rick Barnes are similar. You sit down with any three of those guys off air or off the field, they're about as normal of just dudes as it gets. And that's not always the case with coaches who make a lot of zeros on their paychecks.
Isn't Tony single?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And driving an orange Lambo.
He ain't settling down anytime soon.
Former Tennessee first baseman Luke Lipsius. Former Tennessee first baseman Luke Lipsius did an interview last week where he said Tony always told us he would be single until he won a national championship.
Who's going to be the lucky lady?
A lot of single women in Knoxville and in Nashville will be watching closely
Go ahead, Kayla.
tonight. All right, so we have got some giveaways. We've got a giveaway. If you want to come to RKW, we were just talking about it. We've got your chance to win literally right now. So caller number 5, 615-737-1045 will come with us Wednesday night to Game Terminal for Arcade W. You're going to get VIP passes. You're going to get free food and gameplay, a goodie bag. You're going to get free drink tickets and more from us and Game Terminal. Be caller number 5, 615-737-1045. Wednesday night, drink tickets, free food, gameplay, play all the arcade games with us. Best of luck. And caller number 5 will head to Game Terminal with us on Wednesday. Coming up next, it is your chance to complain. 615-737-1045. You're Not That Guy is coming up next. Going on, it's Will Bowling. To all my facility managers out there, how are your electrical fixtures doing? Do you have a flickering light or two? Maybe your power outlets are inconsistent, or you're looking to install a generator to be prepared for the next big weather or storm. Look, Mother Nature is always throwing something crazy at us here in Middle Tennessee. Well, with Lee Company, you're always going to be ahead of the game, and no matter your electrical problem, the team at Lee Company is here to help. For over 80 years, their expert electricians have been here to make your life easier and keep your place of business running efficiently. So available 24/7, 365. You got to call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leecompany.com. Professional electricians for any type of facility. Once you get the pros of Lee Company on your team, you've got a one-stop shop for everything your home, your business needs. And their electricians are excellent. 615-567-1000. That's the number you got to call. Online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Rolling right along in hour number 2 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW with Brad Hopkins in for the Big Ragu. Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. Mondays. That is when we get the chance to complain. If you have got a case of the Mondays and someone or something has made you mad over the weekend, we've got the place for you. 615-737-1045. It is time, once again, ladies and gentlemen, for You're Not That Guy. Six 615-737-1045. If anyone in your weekend was not that guy, you can let them know right now on the radio waves of 1045 The Zone. And Brad Hopkins tells us that he's got a great one this morning. So we let our visitors bat first here in this lineup. Brad Hopkins, take it away, sir.
I know, that's right. So we're very well aware that the Mets did beat the Cubs yesterday 5-2 on the road. But it wasn't without a little bit of controversy, though. So closer Edwin Diaz, he goes ahead and takes the mound in the bottom of the ninth. Crew chief Vic Carapazza, he's the one that makes sure that everyone's on the up and up. He decides to look at Edwin's hands, and he says, man, they're really dirty looking and just some craziness. Let me check them. He grabs his hand, and their hands can't get separated. He has so much sticky stuff on his hands.
Yeah.
That it got him ejected from the game. Now, the reason why I say he's not that guy is not for the attempt to do something to kind of be competitive, okay? Because I've held like the best of them. You know, I've actually played with a cast on my hand, of which I've taken the padding off after I've been checked to make sure that make sure the hard surface gets contact as much as possible, right? And that's, but the fact that you're going to still go down in flames to deny the fact that that's not rosin and dirt on your hand, bro. You got some sticky stuff on your hands. Now he's facing a 10-game suspension. So you know what, Edwin Diaz? Just for you not, just taking it on the chin like you should have and just take the possible automatic 10-game suspension, you're not that guy for just trying to even go down in flames and say you didn't have anything on your hands. Yes, you did.
Yeah, after the game saying it was a mixture of rosin and sweat.
Yep.
Stop.
And Vic Carapazza, the crew chief, said after the game, I touched his hand. The substance was extremely sticky, discolored.
Ew.
It definitely wasn't rosin and sweat. We've checked thousands of these. I know what the feeling is. This was very sticky.
Yeah, he didn't see the it said Elmer's on his palm.
Cement? Elmer's cement glue?
The glue. Yeah,
that's different meaning of the term cement mixer when you throw a nice slider.
Nice.
Rubber cement kind of smelled good.
Oh, God.
Rubber cement?
Yeah.
It did smell good when I was a kid, didn't it? That's kind of weird.
I know.
Kayla, what you got?
All right. So, first of all, I'll start off with a positive to the story. Because Scotty Scheffler is a dog. He's a man.
A dog.
He's a winner. Whatever you guys want to call it. Right now, he is dominating the PGA Tour. Got another win yesterday at the Travelers. However, the Travelers and that win specifically got overlooked by the fact that there were 6 climate protesters that decided to go to the 18th green while the tournament leaders were obviously there and decided to come out on the 18th green. Their T-shirts, by the way, people have the right to protest in certain situations, in certain environments. This is clearly, in my opinion, not one of them, but their shirts had no golf on a dead planet on the front of them. And they came out and pretty much scared the heck out of, first of all, the guys that were on the green. That's a scary situation where you don't know what's going on through a smoke bomb. It was really scary. And good, swift action, obviously, by some of the police that were there. And they got everybody out and they arrested the protesters, and carried them off right away. But just an awful situation and a scary situation for everybody involved. And then overlooking the whole entire tournament because Scotty Scheffler, again, wins his sixth win on that tour. So I just thought the whole situation was weird. And again, protesting, to each is your own. But in that environment, on the 18th hole in the middle of a live event. Like, I just thought that was you're not that guy, and that was the top of my list yesterday.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would love to see what Augusta National would do if climate protesters tried to take down an azalea, one single azalea.
Ooh, wait.
And it might be prison and jail.
Right?
For that person.
That was wild.
It just shows you the importance of the sports platform and how, long-reaching it actually is. Like you said, Kayla, I don't think there's any reason in bringing about attention to things that might be, situational, societally, that you need to pay attention to. But like you said, in certain platforms.
Yeah.
But those organizers recognize the importance of this platform and how visible it could actually be if they got attention doing it. Because I guarantee you none of them were fans of golf or any of the golfers
even though
that were
they
there.
tried to dress up like they were part of the gallery.
But their importance was what? The agenda of getting it out there about global warming or whatever it was that they were trying to get attention to. But did you say smoke bombs? Smoke bomb on a golf course?
We're back to Call of Duty here for a second straight.
Right?
It's
just like, I'm sorry, that is not the time and place. It's just not.
Call of Duty 6, the 18th green.
on the golf course.
There'll be a new story mode on the next game.
Did you guys see recently where some protesters did something similar to Stonehenge? They came up with spray paint and spray painted
Stonehenge
all over Stonehenge. I don't know if they're part of the same movement or not, but it seems like they're taking offense to some things. Like, let me hit Stonehenge.
No. I've actually seen some protesters that actually went into a museum and spray painted some of the art that's on the wall. You're like, oh man.
So spray paint is the common denominator. Y'all are just going to mess up home improvement projects for everyone, and they're going to ban spray paint. No longer are we going to be able to have spray painted rims in the parking lot.
So you would rather people just say it, don't spray it.
Save the spray paint.
Thank you. So isn't spray paint like kind of bad for the environment too? Like
it's an aerosol.
Yeah. So what are the protesters doing here?
That's why they're sitting on greens.
Maybe the smoke bomb. Maybe the smoke bomb wasn't an aerosol.
Right.
You want to go, Will, or you want me to take it?
I'll take it. You always have something so unique that it needs to always be bad.
I feel like I'm going to get in trouble for mine this week.
Oh,
wait! You're going to get in trouble?
I think I know where he's going to.
Well, you're definitely batting cleanup now.
Yeah,
so my You're Not That Guy goes to Tennessee fans and Vols fans. Listen up to me for a minute, because I want to speak about something that's very important. Tennessee fans, just you and me talking here. All right, at this point, if you want to go into Game 3 of a College World Series national championship with in the back of your mind that the first thing that goes wrong, you're going to tell yourself, oh, same old Vols. Here we go again. My battered Vols syndrome. You don't have to live in fear going into a College World Series national championship. And, of course, if you're a Vols fan, you know that there has not been a men's major sport national championship at the University of Tennessee since 1998. Win or lose tonight, I urge you and I plead with you to please just enjoy it. Please just enjoy it. Because tonight, if Tennessee loses to Texas A&M, it is not same old Vols. If you're a rival fan and you want to say it's the same old Vols thing, that's fine. Rival fans don't like Tennessee. I have no issue with that. This is why this is a one-on-one conversation between me and Tennessee fans. If you come with that energy tonight, A, you're wrong, and B, you're living in fear. C, though, you're disrespecting a really good team in Texas A&M who also has earned their right to play for a national championship tonight as well. So if you make the whole thing about you make the whole thing about your trauma because you went to a game and you saw a Hail Mary loss, you saw a half-court shot beat you, you saw this and that, you have no impact, Tennessee fan listening out there, to what happens on the field tonight unless you are in the stadium. If you're watching at home and you want to put on your lucky socks because that's fun, that's great. Like, I'm going to wear the same thing today as I did yesterday because I need to do my part, right? But at the same time, like, if we all could impact what was going on off the field with our own trauma, then our teams would have won a lot more championships than they have. Just enjoy it. Don't come with the negativity. Don't be on Twitter, oh, same old Vols, Tony Vitello again. If you are a Tennessee fan, I need more positive energy tonight. That is my You're Not That Guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Thank you
got to think about this. There should be less pressure anyway if you think about the fact that there hasn't been a number one seed that has won the national championship in 25 years. So it wouldn't be like the Vols, who were number one since May or something like that.
It's tough to
Them
get
not
here.
winning a championship wouldn't be an indictment saying, oh my gosh, they're a number one seed and they didn't win it. Well, guess what? A number one seed hadn't won the Natty in 25 years. So what are we talking about?
I have no time for the battered Vols syndrome when you are in a national championship. Like, there's only 2 teams still playing at this point. You are better than 99.999% of college baseball this year. And again, like, if you're a rival fan and you want to do the same old Vols thing, that's fine. Like, that's what rival fans do. In the SEC, we all hate each other, and that's great. I have no issue with that. But Tennessee fans cannot get caught in that, because this has already been an outstanding season. You've done something you've not done since 1951, and if you lose, it's not all about you. It might just be because A&M is also really good. Anyway.
They are.
Robert Walsh, back cleanup for us, please, sir.
Let's go, Rob.
The problem with the internet today is we can't have anything, guys. Whenever we get something good, they just want to stretch it and make it something that it's not even fun anymore. Something that happened right here in Nashville. Something that everyone enjoyed and now is enjoying too much, for my opinion. The Hawk-Tua girl. I don't know if you guys have,
Hey, come on now.
I don't
Put
know
the spit on it.
I don't
Come
know if
on,
you guys
I'm
have.
not aware, so fill me in.
So,
Sorry, I can't keep up with all the people in the streets, the influencers out there.
Man on the
Sorry.
street
He's not an
interview.
influencer.
Okay.
Man on the
Listen to
street
Bert.
interview in downtown Nashville, and a woman was asked about how she keeps a man, and she told this guy she Hawk-Tua's that thing. You guys, we have got to let sleeping dogs lie at some point. I don't know if you guys have looked on the internet lately. All you got to do, Kayla, is go look on Twitter right now, and you will see 455 edits of this girl being convinced that everyone's saying, oh, she's either the most attractive thing. This is how the picturesque of
They got her
women
as a
thing.
candidate for the presidency.
It is annoying. You guys could make a day off from work lame. Like, how do you take something like this that would be a funny aside and then stretch it so much that there are hats now? There is Hawk and Tua 2024.
I love it, man. You ain't seen that?
I do not love
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm not
I
up
just
for
like that. I like her
You are
smoke and being able
walking
to
a
do it, bro. I think
Very
it's just-
dangerous tightrope.
I
Robert
just
Walsh.
like
Wait, okay. How do I spell this on Twitter to look it up?
Hawk, like H-A-U-K.
Okay.
And then
And
Tua,
Tua.
like
Okay.
the
Tua.
Dolphins
Tua.
quarterback.
Yeah,
Okay.
2-U-A-H.
All right.
I cannot believe Kayla is on the complete other
Yeah,
side.
where you
of,
been, Caleb? What's going on?
Luckily, not on this crash.
Well, good for you, because anybody that reposts this, stretches this, I'm over it. I'm tired
Come
of
on,
seeing
man.
it. I have blocked the words Hawk-Tua
But
from
you
my
got
Twitter.
come on, Bert. The way she pulled it off.
I
just
can't.
Spontaneously, too. You got to spit on that.
Good for her. Good for
Oh.
her.
gosh,
First
it's
of all, I'm
funny.
seeing a picture of this girl. At least from the side, she is not attractive.
Stop, Kayla. She's cute. What are you doing?
Nah,
Stop. Don't
pass.
do that.
Whatever side you're on, you're not that guy.
You're not that guy,
Okay,
pal.
I'll
Trust
be
me.
looking
You're
at
not
this.
that guy.
Please don't.
Okay.
Please don't, because
Yeah,
that's going to
good.
continue to add it to our algorithms. Do not look at it.
What in the? This picture is not attractive of her.
615-737-1045. We will start on the phones with Chris in Mount Juliet for You're Not That Guy. What's up, Chris?
How's it going, gang?
Good.
What's up, Chris?
Well, I had one, but now I've got two. Will, you're not my therapist. Stop talking to me like you know me.
Woo!
I've been hurt, man.
Say it, brother. Say
Go
it.
ahead, Chris. Let it out, man. Go ahead. Speak to us, Chris.
But,
Go ahead. Let it off. Get it off your chest. Go ahead.
But on that note, my actual one is for our boy, that last A&M batter trying to do his best Dylan Dreiling impression. Sorry, you're not that guy.
Ooh.
Came up
I
short.
like it.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. I genuinely, guys, in the stadium, like I had about 10 different emotions that went through me as that ball was in the air. I thought it was gone, then I thought it was a pop
Yeah,
fly,
right.
and then the
was
A&M
crazy.
fans
Oh, my
behind me
God.
started celebrating as they thought it was gone, and then ultimately it
At
was
the warning
not. For a
track.
pinch hitter who's hit one home run all season.
That was
Jeez
wild.
Louise. But it would have been in that dramatic fashion, wouldn't it? It wouldn't have been a surprise if they actually
Yep.
put it in and tied the game up, and then in the bottom of the ninth, you'd be like, "Oh my God, are you serious right now?" Then I was thinking, when that ball was in the air, well, I don't know what you were thinking. I was thinking, this series is over. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I was too. Did they show on TV what the wind was like, though, in that moment?
I don't think
I
they
don't
got
remember.
into detail on that.
I'm
specifically.
serious. The wind was totally inconsistent the whole game. It was blowing out to right.
They did
At one
mention
point
it
was-
a couple times.
At one point, it was blowing to left. It was like the flags were completely blowing in right after that ball was caught. If that ball was hit Saturday night, it's probably 5 rows deep in right field, the way the wind was on Saturday night. I mean, that is the kind of luck that you need to win a national championship in any sport, especially this one.
I agree with you on that.
Weight room, A&M, and maybe you'd be up in the series. Maybe you'd be national champion. 615-737-1045.
But they're not.
You can add in your take on You're Not That Guy. We'll hit some NFL headlines and analysis coming up next, where there is some praise for one Titan breakout candidates in 2024. An NFL.com writer has a Titan on that list, and we'll tell you who that is coming up next. Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues with Brad Hopkins and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. 11 breakout players for 2024. That is what NFL.com's Bucky Brooks writes yesterday. He's got Peter Skoronski as one of his 11 breakout players in the NFL season, writing, quote, Skoronski should excel in a scheme that better suits his talents as a crafty positional blocker with superb instincts and awareness. Brad Hopkins, do you agree with that assessment?
That's running the football. Is it the same in pass blocking? I think that Peter Skoronski has the potential to be a really good interior offensive lineman. But when you're talking about, that type of schematics, you're talking about the ability to shield and run blocking. I think the pass blocking is more, and which is what I anticipate the Titans doing more of this year than we've done in the past, right? Featuring Will Levis's arm in this receiving core that they brought in this year. So I think that the pocket integrity is going to be super important. Now, will he have the same kind of consistency working with J.C. Latham and, of course, Lloyd Cushenberry? I think both of those players have been upgrades from the positions that he was working with last year,
100%.
which would then innately make him better this year. And schematically also. I think we see an offensive scheme with Brian Callahan employing more of Will Levis's attributes, right? And the talent that we've surrounded him. I said we, like we actually went out and got these three dudes ourselves. What the Titans did, right? And bringing in some capable receivers, some capable bodies, talented players to help with the agenda. I do agree with him in the sense that Peter Skoronski will be better this year because the complements around him will be better, and he's going into year 2. He knows more about the game of the NFL than he did last year coming in. I expect some improvement. But when you just talk about situationally how he will be used, I think that pass blocking is something that he needs to improve on and will improve on because everybody loves to run the football. I love leaning on dudes, you know what I'm saying, versus being pushed back into the quarterback.
I think it's so important to note just the inconsistency of last year on that left side for him to even to be able to kind of thrive or improve at all because it was in and out in terms of that left tackle position. So building that chemistry was at times, I think, hard for him to do. Add to that, he had the appendectomy that kept him out for a few games, which that kind of disrupted the growth process of a rookie. And so I think he might be one of the easier, and I don't say this saying, this is an easy job by any means, but he might be one of the easier picks to look at and say, this guy is going to improve because, Brad, as you mentioned, everything around him from the offensive line coach who is actually, we're looking at how he is teaching technique and building upon it, practice by practice. And it just seems like there's a lot more emphasis on development of players on the O-line with Bill Callahan than we've seen from the past. And yes, I've been there to witness that. And I think the results speak for themselves with some of these players, how the development has been at times questionable. So you add that and then the guys on each side of him. I mean, you've got a center who has proven himself at this point from what he's done at Denver. And now he's over here, and you hope to see him only grow upon that. And then with the rookie in J.C. Latham, there is unprovenness there at this level and at left tackle because he has not recently played that position. But I think we've seen everything positive from the minute he walked through those facility doors of he can be that guy in J.C. Latham.
Well,
next to Skoronski.
There are still tons of question marks that will not be answered until training camp.
Until the pads are on.
Because in the offensive line, you cannot answer those questions until you can actually be physical and go out there and do your job.
And Bill said that when we interviewed him at the end of OTAs last week. He goes, look, realistically, you're not going to see what we can do until exactly the pads are on.
I just don't want to hear Jeffrey Simmons talking about, they can't block me. They can't block me. Kayla, we were all out there last year during training camp, right? And it got just frustrating to hear Jeffrey saying that every single play because it was true. He was standing next to Will Levis or Ryan Tannehill after the ball was snapped every time.
And now we wonder, gosh, did we think at that point? And look, the front's been good. And Danico and Jeff were good last year, even despite Jeff's injuries that he was suffering through the season. They were still a decent front. But at times, I think in camp, we were raving so much about this defense. And, Arden Key and, all these guys. We were so hyped. And now I look at it as like, well, maybe that offensive front was just that bad.
It was a combination.
Exactly.
They were good, but the front line was
Right.
inconsistent. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Continuing You're Not That Guy here in hour number 2 of the show. Eric in Nashville is up next on the phone lines. Good morning, Eric.
Hello?
Hello?
You're there,
We got you.
What's up, Eric?
Hello? I didn't know what was going on. I was sitting dead silent.
Come on, Big E.
So, guys,
What you been up to, man? What's going on with you?
I'm doing good. So, guys, it's another case of where I had a different plan, but I saw something over the weekend that kind of moved to the front of the line. I don't know if you heard about this or saw this story. This is actually You're Not That Girl, a woman by the name of Mira Ruby. She was a foodie influencer. She liked to try different delicacies around the country, whether they're in restaurants, entertainment venues, or ballparks. So right now she's been touring some Major League Baseball parks. And so she was recently at a Texas Rangers game in Arlington, Texas. She decided she was going to try this, not foot-long, but 2-foot-long hot dog called the Boomstick.
Oh, my
And on the
God.
Boomstick, it's beef patty, chili, nacho cheese, and chips. She had to carry it in a special container, but it was real heavy. So she was trying to make her way back to the seat. She almost made it, when unfortunately she dropped the hot dog on top of a guy that was sitting in front of her. Now, guys, here's what really makes it bad. Guys, guess how much she paid for that 2-foot-long hot dog that she did not get a chance to bite?
Please
You
tell me
want to
she
take a
paid
wild guess?
$25.
Huh? No.
How much?
Anybody else? She paid.
35.
You're a little bit above that. She paid $33 for the hot dog. Yes.
She paid
I saw this story over the weekend. Now, there is absolutely no way I would do that, and not unless you're reimbursing me, paying for all my expenses or whatever. And here's the thing. For what I understand, I don't think she got another hot dog to replace the one she dropped. So Miss Mira Ruby paying $33 for a 2-foot-long hot dog, but you didn't get a chance to take a bite that out of. You are not that guy, or in this case, you're not that girl. Y'all guys, y'all take care. We'll talk to you
See,
soon.
Eric.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
How you going to take down a 2-foot hot dog in the stands?
Yeah.
I'd have still ate it.
Right off of his head, huh? Right
Well,
off
I
the
mean, them dogs that hit the ground, the bun hit the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah.
I'll eat the dog.
Yeah, that's true.
Dang.
I mean, that's true.
$33
Bert's
gets
got a
you
point.
$33 gets you 10 hot dogs at
No
an Atlanta
kidding.
Falcons game.
You might even get a beer
I mean,
out
they
of
might
that.
be green and stuff, but regardless.
Golly.
That's a good image for our Monday morning. And coming up next in hour number 3, there is one stat for tonight's game 3 between Tennessee and Texas A&M that should give Vols fans a little bit of calmness, a little bit of zen, since I am your therapist, no matter what Chris and Aunt Juliet tells you a half hour ago. Plus, Robert Walsh has been working on something that's very special that you're going to hear coming up in just
Come
a few
on, Bert.
minutes. It's RKW Hour 3 on deck.
It's Ramon Foster of Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Y'all, have you ever had a contractor supposed to come to your house within a time frame and they not show up and got you waiting around all day long, just wasting away your day? Well, you don't have to do that with Hiller, okay? When you call them, they will set your time, be very prompt about it, send you a text message, call you potential, let you know when they are showing up, just to give you a heads up like, hey, we're coming to your house. So if you're at work, just go home. We'll be there when you get there. I promise you that. But not only that, this month, you can be a happy camper with Hiller with 0 interest financing for 24 months on select HVAC systems, generators, and tankless water heaters. Or just simply take advantage of Hiller's $99 drain cleaning special. Take care of your home systems before the peak summer temperatures hit. This weekend supposed to crank up a good bit, so you know that AC is going to be working in overdrive. Make sure you have Hiller over to check it out for you. Visit happyhiller.com today for details.
8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The college baseball season will come down to one final game. Yesterday, Texas A&M falls to Tennessee 4-1 in Game 2 of the World Series or College World Series final on Sunday, which results in a winner-take-all matchup tonight for the national championship. You can listen to that right here on 104.5 The Zone. Vol Network takes over at 5:45 with the first pitch at 6 o'clock. After a Jace Laviolette solo home run in the first inning, the Aggies held a 1-0 lead for the majority of the game until a 2-run shot by Dylan Dreiling.
Pitch lifted in the air towards right. Going back is Laviolette. Shane Stat. Dylan Dreiling has come through for the Big Horn. His first hit today. His second extra base hit. His second home run. He lines it into the Tennessee bullpen. On the board and now in front. Home run Dylan Dreiling. 11 hits in the College World Series. And the sophomore from Hays, Kansas.
Tennessee then launched another 2-run home run from Cal Stark in the 8th, which ultimately gave Tennessee the 4-1 win. The rivalry continues in the WNBA as Angel Reese scored a career-high 25 points, grabbing 16 rebounds to help the Chicago Sky take down Indiana 88-87, despite 17 points and a franchise record 13 assists from the Fever's Caitlin Clark on Sunday. And if you don't have plans for this Wednesday, make sure you check it out. Game Terminal, we're going to have RKW there. We got plenty of food, drinks, and a ton of different games. If you want more information, go check out 104.5 The Zone's website. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show and hour number 3. Here already on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW on 104.5 The Zone. Brad Hopkins in for Ramon Foster. Kayla Anderson and Robert Walsh from Omaha. Omaha! Hi, Will Bowling. 615-737-1045. How you join us. Also from Omaha, coming up in 20 minutes, ESPN's Kyle Peterson will join us on the call with Carl Ravitch with Chris Burke for the College World Series Championship Series. An expert on all things college baseball will give us the scouting report between Justin Lampkin and Xander Sechrist. Game 3, winner take all tonight in the College World Series Championship. Kyle does a great job. Really looking forward to having him on coming up in 15 minutes.
Former Stanford Cardinal. Kyle.
I'm actually glad that Kirby got pulled early yesterday because we know the Sechrist-Cannell relationship. Right, yeah. All right, got touched a little bit.
Even that. No, not even one.
Not even a third of it.
Yeah. Three
lefty
pitches.
matchup.
Yeah, 4 pitches. But the point is, I think that Xander can lend way to Kirby closing it out if we only need as few arms as possible. You know, if it goes according to plan. If Xander goes deep into the innings like he did, you know, I think it was either in the first round or the second round or whatever, he went like, 5-6 innings? It'd be nice to kind of get that kind of outing from him. Then that way we wouldn't have far to go to close this thing out.
For sure.
That's right. Yeah, Xander Sechrist has allowed just 4 earned runs in his last 29 and a third. Woo-hoo. That is a 1.23 ERA for Tennessee. In his last 5 starts, Tennessee is 5-0 in those games, including the last game of the regular season when the Vols clinched the SEC regular season championship. But, guys, that's not even the stat I was going to give you to give Tennessee fans a little bit of calmness this morning. So this is something we've been talking about since the Super Regional, Tennessee's ability to win Game 3. This is something that has been a strength for the Vols all season, who have not lost 2 games in a row since March 17th and 18th against Alabama. That was the first SEC series of the season. That was also the only SEC series that Tennessee did not win. In winner-take-all Game 3s, guys, this season, in rubber games, Tennessee is 6-1 with a run differential of 88-31. They have outscored their opponents in those 7 games by 57 runs, and they are averaging over 10 runs per game in those games. I think about 12 runs per game, actually, including a 12-1 win over Evansville in the Super Regional a couple of weeks ago. Tonight is exactly what this Tennessee team has thrived at all season, is winning a winner-take-all Game 3.
Need to have the top half of the order hit like the bottom half of the order.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, it sounds crazy to say that,
No,
but Cal
you're
Starks
right.
had a better percentage than SEMO did. Come on now.
All right, so that is to calm you down. Robert Walsh now has something to fire you back up, and he has given the disclaimer in the F&M Bank chat, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Where you can stream the show. You stream the show without music there because, again, we would like to keep our YouTube channel up and not have it taken down for copyright infringement. So fire up the 104.5 The Zone app if you want to hear what Robert Walsh has cooked up for the people. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to get there. I'm going to continue filibustering. You can take a closer look at my sunburned face on Zone TV for one more second. You should have the app up. Okay, here we go. Robert Walsh has been cooking this morning and has this cooked up this morning for Vols fans. Just outstanding.
Woo-hee!
From Robert Walsh this morning.
Are you kidding me? You made that, Bird?
Oh, yeah. He does this like
Bird!
very briefly sometimes, but he does it very well.
I got goosebumps, man.
I appreciate that.
I'm serious.
They need to change the song to the slowed down one.
I like
By the
that.
way.
No, I like the slowdown as a wind-up. You know, it's a good
Right.
wind-up. It gets everybody ready for it. And then you give them the good
No,
old
yeah,
classic.
yeah. You got to get the foot stomping in there at
But
the end.
I like that one gives you chills. This one you hear all the time.
Boom, boom.
I
That
didn't,
one gives you chills.
When Kayla laughed at this part right here, when as soon as
What part?
I gave it the doubled.
I love
Kayla
that. I knew
laughed
that
at
was
it,
you.
and it's kind of like when you get to dance with a pretty girl at the dance, and then she's like, "What are you doing?" And they I'm like, "Come on, Kayla, don't embarrass me like this." Everybody in the studio to listen, and then I play that, and all of a sudden,
Yeah. Let me give you this, Bert.
Give me some.
Bert, man.
hopefully that fired everybody up this
You broke
morning.
it down, Big
That
B.
was
I love
good,
that,
Bert.
man. That
That
was
was good.
awesome. You know what? That sounds like a network production, bro.
Oh, please, somebody give me a
serious.
job.
Surprise out of
He
you
whips
boys.
that
Come
out
on.
in like 2 seconds. That's what she
Seriously.
said. But anyway, you know.
Oh, no, you didn't.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I did. It's morning show.
So,
Hyped on this show.
anyway, if you missed that, coming up again at 9:20, we're going to play that again, and
Oh,
we will
goodness.
definitely release Spooky Top, as Jared
So
on Twitter
good.
calls it. Andrew Portland tweets us, "Go damn Vols" with 10 fire emojis and tags Bert. And Jared on Twitter says, "Release baseball Spooky Top to the masses." I think we will
So
have
good.
to release this to the people in video form at 10 o'clock when the show ends today.
Yep.
Can we please do that? By the way, I have one bone to pick with those saying that Vols fans are the villains or that the Vols are the villains. Not in every scenario, folks. Because if you have made your way around social media in the last couple of days, the entire planet seems to be rooting for the Vols in this series. Whether
I don't know
that
about
be,
that.
oh yes, whether that be Bryce Harper or Morgan Wallen or Robert Griffin III, you name it, all of these random people that have no connections like directly to the Vols are rooting for the Vols.
Former,
yeah, 2 words to that. Bandwagon.
Former
And you could-
Brave
right?
Dale Murphy
I'm
also on
telling
that list.
you.
No, but
I
the
feel like
narrative.
you've got a lot of baseball people
Yeah.
and celebrities that love what Tennessee has going on, and then the rest of the country. Because all I have seen on Twitter is hate, Kayla. I've not seen.
Not
Let me
me.
ask you this.
But that's
Is it
the
from the
fan base.
Is it
then.
from the fan base
I'm not
or is it
talking
from the
about
teams?
SEC teams again. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
No.
talking about
Okay.
other people. Of course, the fans from. No, actually, check that. I saw an LSU fan the other day. Like, they did not want A&M. They're like, anybody's whose fan base does this type of cheering, and they were doing like the chants or whatever, that they were like, we're not rooting for you. Go Vols. So even LSU
That
fans.
just sounds like the lesser of two evils. So I'm not going with that. But I'm just saying that it just seemed like when the national narrative is that's the dreaded empire, it seems like that's just a conversation that a team with a
I think
target
it's
on
part
its
of
back
battered ball
has.
syndrome.
Well, it also has the fact that whenever you're on the top, guess what? Everyone's rooting to knock you off. Nobody wants to see you on top of the mountain, right?
Yeah.
And they've been number one since May, so that they've been the team to beat for a long time now. And
But
people are
there's-
tired of seeing their success.
But there's plenty. No, my point is there's plenty of people who want them to succeed. That's my point.
I don't know. I think it's just a cool thing for like celebrities. I mean, Bryce Harper lives in Knoxville, so that's part of the allure of that. He moved to Knoxville a couple years ago. I don't know. It feels like LSU fans and Texas fans, maybe Arkansas a little bit in there, are pro Tennessee, and then everyone else in the SEC is pro A&M. It feels like at this point, because Tennessee's made a lot of enemies.
Yeah, I'm talking
among
more
SEC
outside the
fan
SEC.
bases.
I'm just
Now
talking
listen,
about
I'm going to say
nationwide.
it has something to do, in my opinion, with the entire fan base for UT, because Tennessee has people come out in droves to support their programs,
Sure.
whether it's basketball or football and now baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see where that would draw attention, right? But I think that's just because of the collective success that the university has had, not just in one singular sport.
I
right?
think Tony Vitello has a lot to do with it. I'm not going to lie.
And
I'm not
that's
going to
part of it,
lie.
too.
I
That's
think
part
Tony
of it, too.
Vitello is a guy that you can be polarizing with him, but a lot of people love that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like his fire.
Coming up next, ESPN's Kyle Peterson will join us, color analyst for ESPN college baseball coverage throughout the season in the broadcast booth for the College World Series Championship Series. The best possible source to talk about this matchup tonight. Winner take all, Game 3 of Tennessee and Texas A&M, and Kyle Peterson joins us to talk about that. Coming up next.
Hey, it is officially summer, so that means a lot of you wanting to get out and do the things that you love to do because it's nice out there. But maybe you're not able to do those types of things if your shoulders, your knees, your back, your hips are hurting. That joint pain can get irritating and just annoying. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. Don't suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here, and it is at QC Kinetics. And you can call them today. QC is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, and we're talking about lasting joint pain relief, nothing temporary, with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged tissue so that you can walk, run, play golf, hike, whatever you want to do in the summer months pain-free. By the way, they are under the leadership of former orthopedic surgeon Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a true pioneer in regenerative medicine, and now bringing it to you. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility back, and you can be one of them today. So stop putting it off. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 104.5 The Zone. Brad Hopkins, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling hanging out with you. Stream the show live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Thank you very much. Robert Walsh is cooking up in the studio and also is still ready to just jump in with the Twitch, please.
I've been impressed with you this morning, Bert.
We are hoping to be joined by ESPN's Kyle Peterson coming up here in just a moment, and Robert Walsh tells me that we've got him right now. ESPN's Kyle Peterson, a very busy man over these last few days at the College World Series, on the call with Tennessee and Texas A&M. Kyle, what's going on? Good morning.
Hey, what's up? Good morning. How are you?
We are good. Clearly, you guys are having just no fun at all calling this series, right? I mean, SEC versus SEC. This I was in the ballpark yesterday. It is chaos before, after the game, and during it, obviously. Just how much fun has this series been for you guys to watch in the broadcast booth?
Oh, it's a blast. I mean, if, we're kind of spoiled because we've done both of them so much this year. I mean, Berkey and I are in the league the whole year, so and you get to know the coaches over the course of time, but then the players as the season goes and tendencies and I think it makes it a lot easier to do a game because you've got a much better idea as to what you might see and you're more prepared for it. And you're watching some of the best players in the country in an environment that, honestly, for me, the best environments in Omaha are major fan bases to where the split is close to 50-50 in a big game. And they showed up. And they showed up and they were ready to go, and that's why I think it'll make tonight a pretty awesome environment.
ESPN's Kyle Peterson with us here this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Kyle, what impressed you the most about Tennessee yesterday to fight back and force a Game 3 tonight?
Probably Aaron Combs, honestly. I think that gets lost in everything yesterday. Is Beam was so good early, and then he was done. I mean, Tony went and got him at the exact, from my opinion, the exact right time because the eye test said he's given you everything he's got today. And I think A&M had a much higher probability to do damage at that point than they did in the first 4 innings. And you got to keep it as close to 1-0 as you possibly can. And Combs kept it at 1-0 all the way until their offense started going. So the home runs obviously are massively important. If you don't score runs, you don't win. But if you don't keep that offense down, you got to score a lot more runs. And Combs came in and was everything you could possibly ask anybody to be in that situation. And I think that's what gave him the best chance to win.
We're talking Men's College World Series with ESPN's very own Kyle Peterson here on the program. And Kyle, averaging as many points as the Vols have since the tournament started, I think it's like almost 10 points. You got to say that the order has been complete, right, top to bottom.
Yeah, first of all, I love that you said points because I say points in games and people yell. No, I'm being dead serious because I say it facetiously doing games and then Twitter calls me an idiot and then it makes for a really good night. It's awesome. Yeah. So I'm going to say points tonight. It makes it even better.
Yes, do it, Kyle.
No, you'll hear it. Don't worry. I think that, listen, it's the best offense in the country. And I don't think that you can expect them to stay down over the course of whatever the time frame is, just because history tells you somebody's going to run into it. And what makes them so dangerous is it's not the one guy that you circle on the lineup and say, this guy can't beat us. There's like 9 of them. I mean, Cal Stark didn't have a hit in the College World Series until yesterday, and he hit it like 9 rows deep. That's what makes Tennessee so damaging and so dangerous. And a bullpen, honestly, that can show you so many different looks. And I think tonight, Xander Seacrest doesn't have the best stuff in Omaha. In fact, it's probably not even close. But he's probably been Tennessee's best pitcher the entire season. And you got to feel pretty good if you're running him out there tonight because he's been very, very consistent all year.
Is tonight about emptying the bullpens? I mean, will it even come down to that, you think?
Oh, yeah, it'll come down to it. Yeah, I think it has to come down to it. For Seacrest, I mean, can he go 7 or 8? Sure. can you in this environment to where, you really got to battle emotions for the first 4 or 5 innings and make sure that you're not emptying the tank too much. I think that gets tougher. That's what you saw with Beam yesterday. Like, he was incredible early. And then kind of the reality of the human body set in to where there's only so much in there and you're going to run out. And I think that's one of the things you got to battle in games like this, is not emptying the tank too early. But Tennessee has a really deep bullpen. And honestly, Texas A&M has their best reliever who's ready to go. So I think it becomes a story of the bullpens when we get to the end of it. And then it gets even more interesting because I think they're going to do it 2 different ways tonight. Tennessee's going to show you some different looks, and A&M's going to hope that they can get to the point to where Aschenbeck can finish the game.
Kyle Peterson of ESPN joining us this morning on RK Dub. Kyle, when you look at Tennessee yesterday coming out of the gates, little shaky, some errors involved with them. It took them a minute to kind of compose themselves. How important is it to come out of the gates in this one, really playing clean baseball?
I think it's massively important, but I think the most important thing is just to play to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
In any situation, and it's not just sports, it's life. Like, you get in stuff that where pace speeds up, and you want to be around people that can slow down life when everything else speeds up. And I think tonight is the same way. Like, it's gonna be loud. Yes, whoever wins the national championship. Like, that's that doesn't happen very often. And whoever can play as close to the way that they've played during the course of the season, then I think it comforts everybody else around you, because you look at it as it's game 3 of an SEC series. It just happens to be in front of 25,000 people on national TV, and if you win it, they give you a ring. But if you can simplify it back to game 3 of an SEC series, and whoever can play that way, I think it gives you the best chance.
Kyle, when it comes to just overall in college baseball, it has clearly been the SEC who has been dominant in the past few years. And however, it has been some different teams winning it. And overall, is that good for the game of baseball to have a dominant conference like the SEC year in and year out winning it?
Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, the slogan doesn't lie.
Yeah.
It does mean more within the conference. And it's up to everybody else to figure it out. The days of, hey, let's create rules to make it even for everybody. Mm-hmm. No. Get better. Care more. Spend more money.
Yeah.
That's what the conference has done. And if you do that, you should have a better chance to win. And and listen, this comes from somebody that when I got into this was so tired of hearing how good the SEC was, because I played in the Pac.
Me too, Kyle. I'm a Pac-12.
It drove me nuts at the beginning. And then you live it on a week-to-week basis, and you're like, you know what? They're right.
Yep.
They're right. They actually do care more about it. And if you care more about it, and if you put more resources into it, you should win more. Like that should happen in anything. And the people that complain about it because they're jealous and they haven't done the same thing. And if you want to compete more on a regular basis, go commit to it more, because you've seen what the blueprint is, and it works, and it's not one team. And that's what makes it the best, is when you look, we're going to have a national champion tonight that has never won the whole thing. But yet you're looking at 2 programs that everybody has a massive amount of success for because of the way that they've committed to it. Like, if you do that, it can work, and there's no 2 better examples of it than the teams that are playing tonight.
ESPN's Kyle Peterson is our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Kyle, what is the scouting report on Justin Lampkin, the lefty for A&M, and on 5 days rest after a 70-pitch outing? He's not gone over 90 pitches once this season, hasn't thrown over 80 since April. What is the exact inning you think that Schloss would want to throw Evan Aschenbeck into this game, ideally?
Well, if he can get you to the 6, I think you feel pretty good. If it's before then it gets to be some tough decisions for A&M. If he gets you to the 6, there's no decisions. It's Aschenbeck, and he's going to take you home. And if he doesn't take you home, then you know what? They beat our best.
Right.
And you can live with that any day. I think for Lampkin, if you asked me the question 2 weeks ago, I'd have given you a very different answer. But based on what we've seen in Omaha, I mean, he's thrown 8 innings. He's struck out 15 guys. He's looked like the guy that I think you thought he could, but he wasn't that consistently during the course of the year. And so if he's that guy, and the belief factor is the way that it's been his last 2 times on the mound in that environment, which I think is beneficial, then he's got a chance to get him there. And I think some of it is, if you're Tennessee, and they did a really good job of this yesterday, they drove the pitch count up on Cortez. Because for me, the game yesterday was, how soon can you get Cortez out of the game? Because at that point, A&M is not as good in the bullpen because they're probably not going to go to Aschenbeck, even though he actually got up and warmed up yesterday. I think it's the same thing early today. How soon can you get to Lampkin? If you don't get to Lampkin until the 6th, well, then you know who you're going to see. If you get to him earlier, then I think it's advantage Tennessee.
And Kyle, it's amazing what this Tennessee team has done in game 3s that decide a series, including the Evansville series, 6-1 in rubber games this year, outscoring teams 88-31 since that March 18th loss to Alabama. What about this Tennessee team makes them so good in games like this? Is it a mentality thing? Is it something on the field? A combination of both? What do you see that just allows them to be so good in moments exactly like this when they're going to face tonight?
Well, I think it helps when you're better than everyone else.
Well, that's fair.
That is beneficial. When your dudes are better than their dudes, then usually the outcome is going to be in your favor. And if you get to the end of a series, there should be less arms. This one's different, to where you're facing a guy that, is not your typical number 3 starter based on what you've seen. And you're facing a closer at some point that, by the awards and statistics, is the best closer in the country. And that's where it changes. But what doesn't change is they are the best offense in the country. And I think that, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, and rightfully so, after last night. The reality of last night, and this is kind of the nature of the game right now, is you're feeling pretty good about yourself because of 2 swings in 4 hours. And that was the difference. Driley runs into a fastball, Cal Stark runs into a hanging breaking ball. And that's all 4 runs. And I think that's the blessing and the curse of what Tennessee is. No one in the country scores a higher percentage of runs than they do off of the home run. So if they hit home runs, things are going to be good. If they don't, they're going to have to win in a different way than they often do. And I think that's one of the bigger storylines of tonight is, can you hit it in the seats? If they do, they're probably holding the trophy at the end.
Yeah, I know that's right. He's Kyle Peterson from ESPN joining us here on Ramona, Cade, and Will. Game 1 winners have won 13 of 20 titles since the championship became a 3-game series back in 2003. Kyle, I know you know that, but who has more momentum going into tonight's Game 3?
I'm not a big momentum guy.
No?
I'm a what's it look like in the first inning on the mound guy.
Yeah.
And I think then I get a pretty good idea what the momentum is. I do think the trust factor is high for both these teams based on who they're throwing out there. It can get spin in a way you don't want it to really quick in games like this, but generally it's the first inning that you've got a decent idea. Are you going to control the strike zone? Because if you do, then you got a real chance to go. Tennessee's got momentum because they're still playing. Like if they don't hit 2 home runs last year, we're not talking. And it's funny this time of year, like people want to talk to me for like 2 weeks. If Tennessee gets beat last night, no disrespect here, you don't really want to talk to me today.
I know that's right.
You're talking to somebody else. And so there's where the momentum is they got to put a jersey on today.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to go out and play again. But I think for me, momentum gets determined after the first inning to see who has the heartbeat that you want in that environment.
Help settle the debate in here, KP. Kayla doesn't seem to think that the national narrative about Tennessee is correct in that Vols, are the villains. There's a lot of support from celebrities in and around the people who are casually observing the baseball team this year. But would you agree or disagree that the Vols are the villains?
I wouldn't say villain. No, I think that they like not really being liked. I mean, I do think there's some validity to that, or they're okay with it. And they play on the edge. I mean, I honestly was just talking to somebody 15 minutes ago, and Tennessee is extremely fortunate that the home plate umpire last night was Scott Klein, who's an SEC umpire. Because if it wasn't an SEC umpire, Tony probably gets thrown out in the first inning.
Hello.
And it would have been understandable.
Yeah.
It would have been totally understandable. But Scott Klein knew what he was dealing with, and he's dealt with it at Lindsey Nelson or Bluebell or wherever else in those environments. And Tony can run really hot, and sometimes run so hot that if you haven't been around him from an umpire standpoint, you're probably going to throw him out. And I give Scott Klein a lot of credit last night for giving him an amount of rope that I don't think everybody would have. And the team plays that same way. I don't think it's a villain deal for me. But every once in a while, I think you need to get concerned about, do they go too far? And does it negatively affect them from what that style is? When they're on the edge, man, they're as good as anybody in the world. But that edge can get a little bit risky sometimes. And that's the one thing that I think I'd pay special attention to tonight.
Kyle, one more from me in terms of just the home runs this year in particular at the College World Series. I think it's some of the most we've ever seen. A lot of the storylines coming into it with some of these teams that play in smaller ballparks, or, well, they can't use the long ball in this park. I mean, it's been crazy this year. What's it been like just seeing the change in that specifically this year? Yeah,
I mean, the game and the numbers say as much. Like, the game is as offensive from a home run standpoint as it's ever been. I don't think it needs to go any further. Like, I think this is plenty for it. And you guys see, like, Tennessee plays in one of the most offensive ballparks in the country. And so their home run numbers are not going to travel one for one when they come to a place like this, but they still are the best power team in the country. And so they're going to get some. And the ballpark allows you to. If you get it, it's going to go. If you miss it, it's not going to go. And more times than not, the wind's going to blow in. But I think the place plays extremely fair. There's plenty of balls that were hit this weekend that would have gone on to Lindsey Nelson that don't go out here. And I think for a national championship setting, that's a good thing. Like, if you get it and you earn it, good. Run as slow as you want. But you got to get it. And here you got to get it. And when you do, I think it makes the game as good as it can be.
He is ESPN's Kyle Peterson joining us here this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on the call with the great crew that has been broadcasting the College World Series on ESPN, the championship series. Kyle, you guys do an outstanding job. Best of luck to you again tonight, and thank you so much for the time on a very busy week. We appreciate it.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Thanks, KP.
Yes, sir. ESPN's Kyle Peterson with us this morning. One thing he said that I want to react to more coming up, his answer right at the end about the edge Tennessee plays with, and maybe the umpire actually doing Tennessee a little bit of favors yesterday. We'll react to that coming up. Hour number 3 already here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW 104.5 The Zone. And Josh Dobbs is going to join us in 15 minutes. Tennessee quarterback who was quite a baseball player in his day as well in Alpharetta, Georgia. And I feel like we are getting like the president of all things Tennessee sports. Like the guy is just an ambassador for Tennessee. So no, he didn't play baseball in college, but he's going to join us in 15 minutes and he'll have thoughts on the College World Series.
Is he there?
That's a good question. I do not know.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes today, though. Like, sometimes I feel like these people just make last-minute plans that are just diehard fans, you know?
He went to school with my daughter.
That's right.
Yeah.
He could probably fly the plane to Omaha.
You take a rocket
You mean
ship.
to the moon?
Right?
Omaha. Why settle for Omaha? Keep going.
So I thought Kyle Peterson was great a few minutes ago, ESPN color commentator for the College World Series, and this was a very interesting answer on Tony Vitello and maybe a lucky situation for Tennessee in the first inning. Tony Vitello's out there chucking dirt, and Kyle Peterson, I think, is correct in his assessment here that it was fortunate the guy behind the plate was who was behind the plate for Tennessee yesterday.
I wouldn't say villain. No, I think that they like not really being liked. I mean, I do think there's some validity to that, or they're okay with it. And they play on the edge. I mean, I honestly was just talking to somebody 15 minutes ago, and Tennessee is extremely fortunate that the home plate umpire last night was Scott Klein, who's an SEC umpire. Because if it wasn't an SEC umpire, Tony probably gets thrown out in the first inning.
Hello.
And it would have been understandable.
Yeah.
It would have been totally understandable. But Scott Klein knew what he was dealing with, and he's dealt with it at Lindsey Nelson or Bluebell or wherever else in those environments. And Tony can run really hot, and sometimes run so hot that if you haven't been around him from an umpire standpoint, you're probably going to throw him out. And I give Scott Klein a lot of credit last night for giving him an amount of rope that I don't think everybody would have. And the team plays that same way. I don't think it's a villain deal for me. But every once in a while, I think you need to get concerned about, do they go too far? And does it negatively affect them from what that style is? When they're on the edge, man, they're as good as anybody in the world. But that edge can get a little bit risky sometimes.
That was Kyle Peterson of ESPN with us a few minutes ago. Scott Klein, the umpire, a Maryville College alumnus, which is in East Tennessee. So let the conspiracies begin. I kid. Woo! But 1992 class at Maryville College. But I do think the point is a good one, that Tennessee's got to find that balance of playing with emotion and not being emotional tonight.
I thought it got better this year overall, right? And we had this
100%.
conversation a little bit earlier in the show. And Will, you brought up, like, credit to you, you did bring up what's the fine line tonight in terms of the emotions and maybe how Tony Vitello sets that standard tonight. Because Kyle Peterson, I mean, you heard it there. He said he thought at any point, if it was another umpire, he might have been out of the game early. And that's not good for anybody, especially in a College World Series type of series. So there is maybe more that maybe changes my mind a little bit about this game and the emotions being in check just a little bit more, because I don't think you can lose who you want to be and how you want to play. That's something KP also said, is you still want to be yourself playing this game. You can't go away from your identity, but there might need to be a little bit more fine line of how you do it today if emotions run.
Sometimes playing emotionally can be exhausting.
Sure.
Okay, but then sometimes it can be inspiring. And I say inspiring just for the fact that, you remember the movie Hoosiers?
Oh, yeah.
Remember when Gene Hackman got ejected from the game? Kind of intentionally, right? And they had to have your man, I can't remember the guy's name. He plays the villain in so many different movies. But anyway, he had to come in. He was the assistant coach. And he was drunk. And he had to come in there and basically keep things together once Gene Hackman was watching the game from the locker room, because he knew what he was doing. He was going to inspire his team to play better. And I think somebody on the F&M Bank chat, Sully, said, love that about Tony. I think he can, if he got ran from the game, the team would be fired up. You see, they would be responding to seemingly adversity that was created by their skipper getting tossed, right? So I can definitely see where those guys might respond to a situation like that.
It depends on when that happens in the game.
Sure, I get it. But I'm still saying that they want to support Tony V.
Yeah.
That long cheddar flowing from that hat, the good-looking dude that thinks he's one of the fellas. They're gonna respond to whatever's going on around him.
Yeah, I thought Scott Klein managed the game well yesterday from that perspective. And Jim Schlossnagle at one point ran out on the field complaining about a foul tip that was called against Kavaris Tears that he didn't think Tears got a piece of. I thought he managed the game well. The balls and strikes are always difficult. Nobody's ever going to be happy with that. But I thought the management of the game from that perspective was solid. And Tennessee tonight is, I think they've got a team that doesn't have a temper that goes as high as Tony Vitello. Like in 2022, I think you had a lot of personalities that when Tony would start kicking dirt and yelling at people and chest bumping umpires, they would kind of take on that mentality as well. I don't see that in this team. I really don't. I know there's videos of Christian Moore yelling at the pitcher and getting fired up. Like I think any team is going to have some of that.
You have
in a
to
College
in
World
baseball.
Series championship. Yeah, of course. But I think ultimately this is a group that runs a little bit cooler than past teams. And Tony Vitello said it after the FSU game, said, I was the least composed person in our dugout. I think that is why Tennessee is uniquely positioned where they are, getting as far as they ever have under Tony Vitello, where they are one game away from a national championship tonight. And coming up next, former Tennessee quarterback and Tennessee volunteer ambassador Josh Dobbs joins us to start Hour 4 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
This is your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by Nissan of Rivergate.
For whom the bell tolls. It was a sensational summer sweep for Christopher Bell this past weekend at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, winning both the Xfinity and Cup races. However, Sunday's USA Today 301 had its share of challenges, including a 2-hour-plus rain delay and finishing the race on wet weather tires. But the rain couldn't dampen Bell's day. He led a race-best 149 of the 305 laps on Sunday. He is now one of 4 drivers to have 3 NASCAR Cup Series wins on the season, and it was his 9th career series win. The Cup Series now heads to the Music City for this weekend's Ally 400 at Nashville Superspeedway. Broadcast start is set for 2:30 on NBC. To IndyCar, Alex Palou won the Grand Prix of Monterey for the second time in 3 years and also took the lead in the point standings. And in Formula One, Max Verstappen won the Spanish Grand Prix by more than 2 seconds over Lando Norris.
This has been your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by Nissan of Rivergate. Have you ever noticed how many car dealerships there are in the Middle Tennessee area, and they all tell you they have the largest selection and the best prices in town? I'm Liz Allison. I'm here to tell you how to make your life easier. Head straight to Nissan of Rivergate. They truly have the largest selection and the best prices in town. I know this because I'm on car 3 from Bob McCracken and his team at Nissan of Rivergate. Cut out the dealership hopping and make Nissan of Rivergate your only stop. Nissan of Rivergate, 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison. NissanofRivergate.com.
9 o'clock. Good morning. What's going on, you bunch of hooligans from the 104.5 The Zone Studios? I am Robert Walsh. The college baseball season will come down to one final game. Texas A&M fell to Tennessee yesterday 4-1 in Game 2 of the College World Series, and the result is a winner-take-all matchup tonight that you can listen to right here on 104.5 The Zone. 5:45 airtime for Vol Network, 6 o'clock first pitch. But in the game yesterday, after Jace Laviolette's solo home run in the first inning, the Aggies held a 1-0 lead for a majority of the game until a 2-run homer by Dylan Dreiling.
Pitch lifted in the air towards right. Going back is Laviolette. James Stat. Dylan Dreiling has come through for the Big Horn. His first hit today. His second extra base hit, his second home run. He lines it into the Tennessee bullpen. On the board and now in front.
Like I said, you can listen to the winner-take-all game right here on 104.5 This Zone, 6 o'clock first pitch. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. Now back to RKW with Josh Dobbs, VFL on 104.5 The Zone.
And the show goes on into hour number 4 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW with Brad Hopkins filling in for Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. Joining us this morning, not only is he a former Tennessee quarterback, he is a Vol for life. He is an ambassador for all things Tennessee athletics. The quarterback as well out in San Francisco for the 49ers. Joshua Dobbs joining us here this morning. Josh, how are we feeling about tonight? What's going on?
What's up? Thank you all for having me. We are excited about tonight. Watched the last 2 games. But obviously, we finished the game yesterday on the high note, 2 home runs, which is obviously what we're known for in our baseball program. So, yeah, we're excited. Unfortunately, I won't be in Omaha, but we're tuned in watching the Vols this evening. I'm sure as the rest of Tennessee Nation is.
Absolutely, Josh. And I was texting with Ramon last night, and I was like, all right, who is the VFL we've got to get on to just kind of calm down the masses a little bit, to just speak some truth to Vols for life everywhere. Josh, I feel like you're the perfect man for the job. You also were quite a baseball player in your day in high school as well. Just what has it been like for you being a fan of Tennessee baseball? I know you have been for a long time.
It's been so cool. I'm jealous of my parents. They snuck out to Omaha for the first game of the World Series where they played Florida State, the big comeback victory.
Nice.
So I got a chance to live vicariously through them and their game. Obviously, every time I'm in Knoxville, there's a home baseball series, I'm out at the porch screaming my butt off for our Vols. So it's been really cool to see the growth of the program, man. And obviously, they're knocking at the door of their first national championship. So, obviously, we know there's going to be a few nerves the first game of the series, which we saw. But I think it was great to see our boys respond yesterday. You know, Texas A&M bullpen's looking a little light out there in left field, right field, wherever they are. So I'm excited about tonight. I think we get the bats going early. We have a good presence on the mound that will be able to take care of business. I mean, we didn't lose back-to-back games really all year. You know, we only had 1 series loss, so our boys know how to, pull out a series victory even when they go down a game. So they're tried and tested for this moment. I'll be excited to see them, pull out the dub and celebrate with them.
He is V4L, Josh Dobbs, joining the program here. And Josh, you just mentioned your folks, Stephanie and Robert. I think that's pretty cool, first off, that your dad was a senior VP of Wells Fargo. You had a great support system there. Just how important, how influential have your folks been in your career so far?
They've been extremely supportive, influential. I mean, they've been at every one of my games since I was 5 years old and started playing sports. So I know for me, it's always great to have that support system, have that consistency. Look up in the stands, My parents will be somewhere in the crowd watching the game in person, and I really appreciate the sacrifices that they made for me to be there, to be at the games, to show up. It definitely has meant a lot to me. It's really cool. Now my dad's retired, so is my mom, so they're able to travel a little bit more. Especially those Sunday night games, man. It's a little tougher in the NFL to go to a Sunday night game, especially when it's on the West Coast. But they're retired now, so they get a chance to still make it to games and everything. I've been really thankful to have their support in my life and throughout my career.
Now, JD, you were supposed to be a Sun Devil, if I did read this correct, and then obviously you flipped your commitment to UT down the stretch. What happened? What made you change your mind, bro?
Man, I was the guy that changed up his commitment the day before signing day. I was that cliche story, yeah. So I got recruited late to Tennessee. Coach Jones got the job, December. Signing day back then was in February, so it was a little different than it is now with all the early signing days. I had never honestly visited Tennessee until I did the official visit that you do as a senior, and I did that 2 weeks before signing day. So I had no clue what Tennessee had to offer, what the opportunities were. But when I got on campus, man, and just had that family feeling, obviously you guys know how important that was and is to me. And Tennessee has a tremendous engineering program. And then the opportunity to play for the Tennessee Volunteers, and know the history of the program, playing in the stadium, have rep the T on the side of the helmet. I couldn't have turned down that opportunity, and seems like I made the right decision, and the rest is really history. So, yeah, I'm glad I was able to make it up to Knoxville, man, enjoy those 4 years there. And it's definitely going to benefit me for really, the next 40 years of my life, which is really cool.
Josh Dobbs joining us this morning on RK-Dub. Okay, so where are you watching the game from? Are you on the West Coast right now, Dobbs? Where are you?
So I'm deep in Vol Nation, in Tennessee territory.
Ooh.
I actually had a speaking commitment that I signed up for about a year ago. Obviously, I didn't know it was on timeout to be when the Vols were in Omaha. But so I'm in Savannah, Tennessee, about 2 hours southwest of y'all, right on the Alabama-Tennessee border. You guys in Nashville. So we're deep down here in Tennessee country. We're actually on the golf course yesterday. Everyone had their phones up, running out of juice, speakers hooked up to the phones, watching the games in between shots. So we'll be locked in. I'll be watching it with a lot of orange for sure tonight, which I'm really excited for.
Okay, that's good to hear. You're down here so you can fully embrace that, right? And be around the actual fan base here. So when it comes to tonight's game, and you said we need some hits, right? We need some of these guys, some big name guys that you've had, looked at the season. You've seen Chris Moore. You've seen some of these guys come up big. Who's your guy tonight that will be maybe the guy you look back at and say, okay, this is the dude that launched us literally to a championship?
Yeah, well, I know you guys said, I played a little bit of baseball in my career, so I did win one World Series. It wasn't nothing as big as Omaha. It was the 10-year-old EPA World Series, so not as big as Omaha, but it still was a World Series, so I'm still going to hang my hat on that. But I think back to that game, those big baseball games, it's really the team that sets the tone early and gets momentum early, gets the bats going, that can really take over a game. There's a lot of nerves, especially for people in the field trying to make that first play, ball get hit to them. There's a lot of nerves up to bat. So it's really the team that's able to settle into the game quickest is usually the team that's able to get a head start on the game. So, we have our best batter up first, in Christian. So I'm looking forward to seeing him set the tone similar to what he did in the first game against Florida State. Come out, ropes line drive into right center and gets a triple, and then Wakeberg brings him in. We can do that. We can get the bats going. We can have our best hitters that are early in our lineup come out, set the tone from the beginning. I think that just gives confidence throughout the rest of the lineup. In the first game of the series, we were a little shaky out in the field, but I feel like those nerves have calmed with a big win yesterday, and really you saw it in the second half of the first game. I'm not too worried about the guy when the guys are at the field. I think we'll get a good presence on the mound tonight, but if we can get those bats going, which is really the powerhouse of our team, man, I don't think Texas A&M will be able to hang with us.
PFL Josh Dobbs, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Josh, we've been talking a lot about the mentality Tennessee baseball has of playing with emotion but not playing too emotionally. And I'm curious from your perspective as a pro athlete and as an NFL quarterback, where is that balance, right? Because Tony Vitello's kicking dirt and he's firing the guys up in the first inning, and clearly the message got across. But at the same time, there's an edge there you want to play on, but not go over it. What is that like just mentally for you as an athlete?
It's definitely a fine line between the two, right? Like you don't want to be playing with out there on only emotion, because then you're riding the ebbs and flows of the game. That's really for us fans to do, right? Like we get to ride the emotional roller coaster. But when you're a player, you got to stay even keeled. I do really like how our teams really took on the persona of Coach Vitello. I mean, it's fun to watch the energy that they play with. They hit a home run, they're fist bumping, they got swagger, they have confidence. And that's what you have to play with. But I also think just through their past stints to Omaha, to winning SEC championships in the SEC tournament, like they've also been in those pressure-packed moments to know when you also have to, not wear the emotions on your shoulders and just stay locked into the game. So, as I said, like we've been in similar situations like this, which I think is really exciting for our program to see how they've come full circle, have gone to Omaha and been the early exit, gone to Omaha and battled and not made it to the championship series, and now they're in the championship series with a lot of guys that have been on those past Omaha teams, a lot of guys that have won and played in the big SEC championship games and the big super regionals in Knoxville. Like these guys have experience in those moments. And so I think we'll be able to see that come to life tonight, and hopefully see our guys get the dub.
All right, well, Josh, on the way out, your guy Grant Furking last night at Rocco's here in Omaha, he tweeted out a picture of the Jello shots that he, Valus Jones, Cedric Tillman, and Hendon Hooker are bringing to the table. Your guy's doing the Lord's work out here for the Vols. He's giving his all for Tennessee, Josh.
The Lord's work.
I told him to throw me 100, put 100 on my running tab. Maybe I got a donation out there going too.
Hey, Josh, real quick, do you remember Gentry Hopkins? Do you remember going to school with a Gentry Hopkins?
Yeah, I think she was a little behind myself in school, and then I know her brother, obviously, through the league circle, is pretty small.
Well, that's their dad right there.
That's my daughter there, Josh. Matter of fact,
that's what's up. Yeah, and we met at the NFLPA.
I did meet you there. Yes, sir. And that's when I became a fan of yours, when I'm watching one of your games, and all of a sudden my daughter over my shoulder goes, "Oh, that's Josh." I'm like, "You know that guy?" She's like, "Yeah, I know Josh. He's so super cool." She loves you to death, man. Just wanted to say hi.
Much love. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. You got a great family. So
thank you, sir.
Hopefully we'll run into each other again in Nashville soon.
And I'm sure we will.
I love it. I love it. Josh Dobbs has been our guest, man. Josh, I know a busy time. Really appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.
See you, JD.
Yeah, let's do it. Y'all tell Ramon to stop slacking.
We will. He's loafing, is what we call it. Loafing.
Monday for the championship game. Nah, I'm playing. But thank you guys for having me. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate y'all, and go ball.
Thanks, Dobbs.
Yes, sir. There he is, Josh Dobbs, with us here this morning on Ramon, Kalen, Will. Just such a good ambassador for the school.
Can we write him in on the ticket this year?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm down.
Come on, man.
He's great.
Coming up, a number that is very interesting for tonight's Tennessee-Texas A&M game. This is something that tonight in the College World Series Championship, you got two teams doing something that is very rare, playing for their first ring at the same time. Guys, the last time this happened in the NFL, just saw this from Zach Barnett of Football Scoop, was 1981. Last time in the NFL, two teams played a Super Bowl who had not ever won a championship. Somebody's going home with a championship tonight. Vols fans, I'm curious where your heads are at. 615-737-1045. We didn't hear from you. Call your shot on what happens tonight for Tennessee and Texas A&M. We are wide open for you to vent if you need therapy or if you want to provide some therapy to the people. 615-737-1045 as Hour 4 continues next. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 1045 The Zone, the musical stylings of Robert Walsh bringing us back. It's John Wilkerson on the Vol Network mixed with slow Rocky Top. It is A+, no notes, outstanding work from our producer,
It was
Robert
very
Walsh.
good. I go from like Halloween spirit to down at the county fair. That's how that's how my emotions range in that song.
I like it.
Yeah, it did sound a little ominous at first when it came in, but like you said, Bert, the build up, the crescendo.
There you go.
Right. And if you want to learn the actual words to the song, the slowing down, I'm telling you, it will help those that don't maybe know every word.
Because I didn't know what she was saying
See?
until then.
There we go.
Really?
Yeah.
Osborne, Osborne brothers, anyway, not she.
It's very good.
These are the boys, the Osborne brothers. All right, 615-737-1045 is how you jump into the show. Vols fans, how you feeling? Vibe check to finish off hour 4 here. Let's start with Raymond in Hendersonville calling in. Raymond, go ahead.
Go Vols, baby!
This is not Raymond.
Raymond. Oh, Ramon Foster is actually showing up to work on the day of the Vols.
How
winning
did you
the
get
national
out of that
championship.
closet I got you locked in? How did you get out of there?
Brad, there's always a trap door, man. You know we always look out for each other. You told me to stay in here for 72 hours, and he said, hey, there's a door in the bottom left corner, all right? That's out, Brad.
I like that 72 hours. I get it. Nice.
Yeah.
How you been, Moni Moan? How you been?
Man, busy, man. Y'all, my week, by the way, man, I appreciate you guys holding it down because it's baseball. Brad, I know you've lived this life, too. Met your son about a month or so ago, man. By the way, baseball player, man. So I know you understand this. We've gone from Hendersonville to Tuscaloosa. By the way, I threw up whenever I got into Tuscaloosa city limits. I needed y'all to know that, man. I will say this, though, about that trip. You can tell Tuscaloosa, Alabama is a place built off championship. It looks new. Nick Saban needs a statue on every single corner. That place, y'all, if they lose, the economy may tank in Tuscaloosa is what I'm telling you. You ever just been somewhere and it's like, yeah, this is new. Like when a new big factory comes into town, and he's like, yeah, look at all these new houses. Like, that's what their city looks like. It looks like the city that Nick built. I'm just going to throw that out there. So
Ramon, I did not bring you on here the day of a Tennessee national championship game to say nice things about Alabama. I mean,
no.
You're
You're taking it wrong. You're taking it wrong, okay? I'm telling you this is where I'm praying on their downfall. That's what I'm letting you know.
Okay.
I want to see that place turn into a ghost town, all right?
It could very well.
With that being said, I'm in Panama City right now for another baseball tournament. Then I got to go to Virginia tomorrow for another baseball camp. So I appreciate you guys for holding it down, but it'll be a whole lot better if these Vols go ahead and we'll get this dub tonight, man. I'm geeked. I have my little stations in order right now. Saturday, I wear an all-orange shirt just to be like, yeah, we're in this thing and we lost. I almost put on an all-orange shirt today and said no. So I simply put on some black shorts with a Tennessee power tee on it, and that's the vibe for today. It's just be cool, make it through these 2 games in this hot-ass sun, and then we can get to the baseball game.
What are you watching it on?
Yeah, right.
We got a Verbo down here, so I'm watching at the house. That's another thing I
Okay,
did
so you'll
Saturday,
be at the
Kayla.
house. Got it.
Rookie mistake, Kayla. I went to a bar to watch the game.
No.
And, oh, my gosh. Like, public embarrassment from your college or pro team is probably one of the worst things that can happen to you.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. They have a first-inning home run. I'm just like, okay, it's all fine. And then they scored 7 in the first 2 innings. And I was like, you know what? Let's go back to the hotel. Like, that's where I was. Yeah, y'all been there before, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's where I was this past weekend, Kayla. So tonight will be family only.
Perfect.
And we're sitting down and watching this game. And I'll even say this. I'm looking forward to just celebrating the pathway to getting to this point.
Sure.
Yeah, and I know we're toxic as hell, Kayla. You know this, Brad. I'm sure you know it too. We're toxic as hell, but I get why we're so toxic. Like the need to want to win a championship, the need to be relevant after Tennessee's gone from AD to AD, from head coach to head coach, and not just one sport, but all sports. We're talking about Lady Vols, we're talking about men's basketball, we're talking about football. We're talking about all across the board. So to have this moment right now for this team, if you're a fan of it, I think it's super cool, man. And that's why I put out on Saturday, man. Don't let that BVS battered ball syndrome take you over. Enjoy
every minute of this because A&M is good. And, Brad, you know this because you played at such a high level too. But, like, the other team is going to make plays. They're going to go on a run. And that's where you got to somewhat temper your expectations as a fan, but trust that these guys out there are well prepared. And tonight should be a fun matchup for the Vols.
Ramon, I went on my rant earlier for You're Not That Guy and said, if you're a Tennessee fan saying same old Vols the first time one bad thing happens tonight, you're not that guy, because we're watching Tennessee play in a national championship series, and I honestly think that it's not doing the opponent the justice that they deserve when it's just everything is about you. Everything is about, the Vols choked, and the Vols. Like, if you're a road fan and you hate Tennessee and you want to take that angle, that's on you, right? Like, it just means more, like, that's totally fine. But if you're a Tennessee fan and you're sitting there and the first time A&M scores tonight, it's, here we go again, same old Vols. Like, you gotta check that negativity at the door tonight, especially.
You do. Like, this weekend I saw, of course, Vol Twitter was having this time just in general, right?
It was.
And I saw a guy that has one of those fan accounts, and I'm not knocking a fan account, but they're verified and they got a lot of Vol followers behind them. But that Saturday night game, whenever they just teed off on Stamos and Causey, right? There was one guy who was like, I'm going to say it, and then y'all are not going to like it, but this is probably the stupidest thing Tony Vitello has done. It's bitten us in the butt. And he was talking about the Stamos and Causey rotation. And I'm like, no, you've been enjoying this all year longer since they've been doing it. And because it's on the biggest stage now at the end of the year, you have an issue with it. Why didn't you say anything beforehand? Like, I hate people in sports, especially in sports, that want to be the first one to a hot take or the first one to be like, I told you so. Like, no. If you're a Vol fan and you say you hated the Stamos and Causey rotation, you're lying to yourself, because those dudes have generated wins, and one has brought the other one along to get dubs out of it. That is a bold-faced lie. You can't live in that world as a fan. And I know you can't tell a fan how to be a fan, but I think it's corny as hell to try to be the first one to a hot take. And this is in our industry too. Like, it's okay to say, yes, this was a bad situation, but to say, I told you so at the end of the road, that is so dumb, man. And that's where, again, when you haven't won consistently, though, when either your emotions are based upon just winning only and not understanding that it's a sport, like where people have to have ebb and flow, and at the end of the day, the best man usually win, and some days it's just not your day. And the reason I thought it was an overreaction on Saturday was it was game one. This is a 3-game series that both teams split, and then we make it to Monday, and we'll see who's going to be the better team. And also, we got NHL Game 7 tonight, too, so split screen will be activated for sure tonight.
Hey, Ramon, you know what I always thought was interesting, the difference between football, baseball, and basketball? First off is the level of intimacy between baseball and basketball. I mean, obviously, there are no helmets. We can see their faces, very familiar to us. But when I heard Tony Vitello talking about another opportunity for this team to play together, that's the situation for most of us in college, in that there is an expiration date. You can only play for so long. But it does seem real familial, if you know what I'm saying. The fact that these guys relish the opportunity to take the field yet again. So I'm thinking there may be something more special for these Vols this year.
And Brad, you know how that is, too. I think as long as some of these guys in all the college sports now have been in college, they understand that, like, they saw that 2022 team, right, and last year's team that didn't make it as far as you needed to. So I do think the understanding, Brad, that this is a family. These moments don't come as often. Like Tennessee's, I heard you mention crescendo coming in from the break, Brad, but like this team has seen the buildup of this play for this moment tonight. And 22 should have been a better season. 23 was expected to make it back, and now you got a group of guys on that team, Brad, like you said, that is family, that understand the weight of this situation. They understand that this doesn't come easy. They understand the weight of being number one forever, however long they were, from transitioning from villains to being an actual team that other college teams respect. That's the other side of it. Those dudes, win, lose, or draw tonight, can tip their hat and say, we reset this. Our group did. Starting from 19 all the way up to now. And those guys, Brad, you know this too, have grown up. And I think when you're older, and some of those guys are older on that team, the maturity does kick in. Like, it didn't register to me, Brad, in my rookie and my second year in the NFL that, oh, man, this guy won't be on the team next year because, hey, we'll be right back at it. The natural mindset of an athlete, if you're right-minded, is, well, the next one. And then we'll get the next one, right? It's always the next one. Well, for those guys, and hearing Vitello speak about this, they understand there is no next one. This is it. And that's why it's smart for those dudes to embrace this, to give it all, to be smarter. That's one thing I thought A&M was at the plate over the last couple of games. They were smarter at the plate than we were. I think we outlasted them and had a little bit more talent. But everything is pushed to the middle of the table tonight, Brad, and it's led by their head coach. But I also still got to give a lot of credit, and I live in that world now with kids of about to be college age, but that portal and that super senior stuff, like this is, if I'm not mistaken, one of the last years that this will happen, if not the last year. So those guys understand what this is.
I understand this because I know that, me and my sons are Big Ten guys, but my daughter is a UT grad. If you listen to us talking to Josh Dobbs, you know that she went to school with Josh. And I can appreciate that, right? But I think I want more, Ramon. I've started watching this baseball program, and I'm not going to be done after tonight. I want to see more successful baseball from Tony Vitello and his guys. What do you think the future holds for this team?
Brad, you're just like me, man, a true sicko. It's always more, man. When is it ever enough? Right. When is it ever enough? But you're right, man. But here's the thing that I've been listening to Coach Vitello say time and time again is they had to jump into the deeper end of the pool to figure it out, right? Ruin everybody else's party. What I do think now with all the antics out the way and him somewhat growing as a head coach now or manager, whichever term is the correct one, he's in a position where recruits will come. It does come down to now you're not longer just hunting people, you are the hunted. That's one thing I will say about championship coaches, not named the one out of Alabama, right, is the ability to sustain a winning culture to keep us, the fans, Brad, as you just said, at a bay because we always want more. Mm-hmm. Heck, that team can go 22-3 in a season, right? And we say that's a disappointment. No, that's not a disappointment. We just got to make sure that we understand that it is hard as fans, but as a coach, the expectation does raise a little bit higher now. They are in a position where they got national eyes. They're getting kids from California, Texas, Wisconsin, just upper northeast. Like you're not just a regional team anymore. And so that representation, Brad, to your point, has to be shown day in and day out as it pertains to the performance. What you don't want it to look like is just, oh, we made it to the mountaintop and this is just it. All the great coaches that I know do push the envelope on, hey, we need an edgy type of player. Hey, we need smart players. And those are all the things that he said. Heck, every press conference I feel like Tony Vitello has done has been a recruiting tool, for him over the last couple of days. And not just that, but having the MLB players wear Vols jerseys, like that's the profile that you're building. So, Brad, I don't think it's going anywhere. I look at it as a situation to say, keep it, sustain it. And it won't be easy because now you're no longer shocking people anymore. They will be, I think, villains number one going into the season, even though they're representing the SEC, regardless of it.
So when it comes to tonight's game, clearly Texas A&M and Tennessee will be throwing out some solid starters. So when it comes down to winning this game, and it could happen in the ninth inning, honestly, I would not be surprised if this game goes to that. Who is your key contributor in this one? Who needs to really step it up in this game for Tennessee?
I'm gonna go with the guy that probably has the highest profile, and that's probably Christian Moore.
Yep.
Simo, it has to be, and I'll say this: he's been okay for baseball, but the expectation of him in this series to show up, I think it's okay to challenge him. And here's the thing: if I told him that to his face, I think he'd probably nod his head like, yeah, that is the expectation, because you see it on his face, you see his expression, he's right-minded with it. And my thing with him is they'll go as he goes. His attitude is right, they'll go as he goes. If he starts off the game with a single or double to right field, everybody else gets that juice behind it also. And to consider, I think tonight they will be the bottom team. Like whatever A&M does before them, now is their opportunity to get that back from what happened on Saturday night. Okay, if they go up early, which it seems to be what A&M does well, then we got to be smart enough also. I thought on Saturday the Vols chased a whole lot more. They were looking at balls they were swinging at balls they shouldn't have swung at. And I thought they were over aggressive and not smart. I think if Simo is smart tonight, everybody else will be too. And also with him, his fielding, the middle infielders, got to be a whole lot cleaner. Because I think they have been hitting mostly in the gaps as it pertains to what A&M has been doing. So their side to side and just ability to field the ball and throw the ball to first and second, get those double play opportunities, because I don't think we've had one in this entire series with A&M right now. It's either been scoring or we're creating errors to put them on base.
When it comes to this game and the two fan bases, we had ESPN's Kyle Peterson on earlier today, and he just spoke about how it is good that the SEC is kind of dominated in terms of the last several championships, because they're setting the stage for all these other conferences. And it's like, if you want to win, you've got to invest more. And that's clearly what the SEC is doing. How fun has it been for you as an SEC alum to kind of see this series unfold and just the fan bases behind this?
It is fun because I grew up in an era where I saw mostly the Pac-12 have a nice run, the Reggie Bushes, USC's, Oregon's. Like they put, I think I got to give them credit. They put the image of college football, I think, higher on the map. Not to say it was the best or the SEC or Big 12 or Big 10 wasn't doing their thing, but I think the Pac-12 set it up to where we moved into a different era because of Oregon, USC, et cetera, right, and Reggie Bush. All those groups, and now seeing it transition to the South. My thing is this, or to the Southeast. I'm speaking like it's hip hop or something. Transition to the South. With that being said, it's about sustainability too. I think we're only as strong as the bottom half of this league too. That's why I always go at Vanderbilt. That's why I always get sick in the stomach about South Carolina. Like if we want to be those types of teams, and we can't allow teams from other divisions to beat those types of squads. And whenever we have those interconferences matches to where it's ACC, SEC, then you got to dominate that too, Caleb, because you're right. It is fun to watch it. And not just that, but having it be a division now where you're getting every position coming out of it. You're getting quarterbacks going in the top 5. You're getting offensive tackles going in the top 10. Like every position that you name, if there's been a top 10 guy coming out of the SEC. And what you don't want to happen moving forward as far as all sports go is watching the Big Ten, Brad, come in because Ohio State is cooking. They're cooking with gasoline right now. Michigan just won the national championship, and Penn State's always in a running here or there also.
Now you got Washington and Oregon.
Exactly. So you got to those blended conference matches, win and dominate those, and also have the bottom half of your bottom half of your conferences. Win games too. Don't be Rutgers. Don't be, those other types of squad that just they're surviving and not thriving. That's how you keep it, Kayla. And it's fun to watch it.
I love it. Ramon Foster on vacation, joining us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. I don't know if you guys have seen the SNL skit Will Ferrell did where he's got a beer can at a 9 a.m. kids baseball game, and he's looking around, cracks open a cold one, and he's like, what? I like to have a cold one at the ball field. That is how I envision Ramon Foster getting ready for Tennessee and Texas A&M tonight. Of what? I like to have a
9 a.m. and a 13U
exactly, right?
I'm kidding, of course, but
he has it wrapped with like a Pepsi label.
This is the energy we needed. Thank you so much.
We got a 7:00 flight in the morning to Virginia, so hopefully we win in the morning. Easier to come by. By the way, shout out to my oldest too, man. He hit his first wood bat home run.
Hey.
Yeah, 3.
There we go.
330, man, with a wood bat. And y'all know baseball, wood bat is a little bit different than metal, so he had to really get that one out.
That's awesome.
Doing his best Dylan Dreiling imitation.
Very cool.
I love it. Thank you, Ramon. Good to hear from you.
Appreciate y'all for inviting me, man. Love the show, by the way.
Thank you. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Thanks, Ramona.
With us. 615-737-1045.
Get back in that closet, Moan.
Is our number. We'll wrap up the show. We'll give you our thoughts on Tennessee A&M tonight. Danny and the Burrow, hang on with us. We'll get to you right after the break as we wrap things up. Coming up next. Wrapping up the show from Omaha for me and from our Midtown studios for Brad Hopkins and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh cooked up a great Tennessee baseball highlight montage to Slow Rocky Top. We're going to tweet this out in 10 minutes. If you have been watching on 104.5 The Zone TV and have not heard it, at Ramon Kayla Will on Twitter, where you will find it in minutes.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Bird.
When did we debut that slowed down one? During football season a couple years ago, was it?
2022 Tennessee, Kentucky on Halloween.
Yep.
Dark mode jerseys made their debut, and a Will Levis quarterbacked Kentucky team got their butts handed to them.
I know. And now Spooky, he's here now.
Go Vols.
Is it Halloween already?
What happens tonight? Take your pick, Tennessee or A&M.
See, I asked Kyle Peterson about momentum, with which he didn't.
I knew he was not he is not a momentum. Nope.
But I'm thinking that he who won last might have that momentum. But I read the statistics since 2003, when the series went to the best of three, the number one seed has only won the one that wins the first game has won 13 of the 20 contests. So,
that's an interesting stat.
Yeah,
I did not see that. I think it all comes down to, as it kind of has in this series, just in terms of the pitching situation, right? Who can get the most out of the pitching in this game, and because I just don't see this being a slugfest. It's not the way these College World Series games go sometimes, when you look at the two teams that we're talking about, where in this series we've seen runs, but it hasn't been crazy. It hasn't been like the Florida State first game where you're seeing all these runs and that's how you're going to win a game. I think it'll come up to a clutch appearance by someone to be able to win this, but I don't think we're going to see a high scoring game, because I think we could get some really good pitching in this game. So I think I'll go with Tennessee, just because I'm going to stick with the notion that they break that whole 1999 is the last time a number one overall seed has won it. At some point, it's got to be broken, and I think this team's good enough to get it done.
Well, I think that this is the evening that the Vols take home a championship, for the simple fact is that this team has been averaging just under 10 points a game, right? That's when both halves of the order are hitting on all cylinders, no pun intended, right?
Yeah.
But when you can see Simo and Cal Starks put the ball in rotation on the same level, now you're starting to see those 10-run differentials. You see? So we haven't seen that
we don't know if we'll see
since
that.
Saturday or Sunday. Why?
Right.
Because the top of the order hasn't been on like they traditionally are. The bottom half has carried us. But now what happens when you have them both synced together? Simo, Blake, Billy, all these guys are hitting and putting the ball in rotation, and next thing you know, you see the bottom half of the order doing the same thing. Cal can get a couple of dingers. Dylan's getting on base too, or maybe putting it over the fence, whatever. But when you can see both halves of the order starting to play like they have consistently throughout the tournament, now you start to see the offense that we're traditionally used to seeing from Knoxville.
Give me Tennessee 8, Texas A&M 4. I'll take the Vols in this one. I think you could have the potential for high scoring if you have quick hooks on starting pitchers.
Sure.
The day less of rest for Xander Sechrist, I think, is the concern for Tennessee tonight, on a little bit less of a break from his last outing than he typically is. However, I like Tennessee's pitching situation a lot more than I like Texas A&M's. I think Tennessee's able to hit a couple home runs early in this game against Justin Lampkin, the lefty starter. On 5 days rest for him after a 70-pitch outing, he's thrown over 90 pitches just once this season. He has not thrown over 80 pitches since April. I think Tennessee gets to Texas A&M's bullpen in the third or fourth inning in this game, and that ends up making the difference. Because, guys, if A&M is able to go from Justin Lampkin straight to Evan Aschenbeck, I think Texas A&M wins tonight. But if Tennessee can get to one or two other arms in the middle of this game, I think ultimately that offense is going to have enough juice tonight. And again, I'll go back to the stat that I have been on for weeks now. Tennessee is 6-1 in rubber matches this season, with an 88-31 aggregate score in those 7 games. When the series is on the line in Game 3, Tennessee has outscored teams 88-31 because they are so much deeper in the rotation and the bullpen than so many other teams. A&M is deep as well, and they have got the ace up their sleeve in Evan Oschenbeck, the best reliever in college baseball. But I think Tennessee gets the job done tonight, and I think I will be very tired and after a long celebration tomorrow morning. I will be right here in Omaha talking to you guys in the morning.
Jello shots!
Hopefully it's a good one. Your spirits are up. Maybe you haven't gone to sleep yet, if that's the case.
Go to bed, Will.
Which you'll just be carrying off of momentum.
Sleep is for the week. Tennessee and Texas A&M tonight. Vol Network takes our airwaves at 5:45. John Wilkerson has the call for first pitch at 6 o'clock tonight on The Zone. We are back at it tomorrow morning to react to all of that and more. The Buck Rising Show coming up next on 104.5 The Zone.